It's a great day to be great, bro. Remember that. It's a great day to be great. Let's go out here. Let's get a win. Let's focus on the details, man.
What up, what up, what up, New York Giant Nation? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, welcoming y'all in here for a special late night edition of the True Blue Aftermath. The New York Football Giants went down FedEx Field and we took care of business. It wasn't pretty, but we got the job done and it was just good enough. I don't know if it's going to be good enough for the long haul. I'm not going to sit there and go there and say it will be, because this was definitely an ugly victory, but a victory nonetheless, a victory the New York Giants desperately needed. And I know people are going to come and say, oh, that last play was a mugging, it was a pass interference, and it was. It absolutely was. Take it up with the refs. They the ones that didn't call it. It was pass interference. I get it. But they didn't call it, so the New York Giants won this football game, and it is what it is. So I don't want to hear nothing about that. Don't even come at me with that. First things first, Kayvon Thibodeau. Welcome to the party, baby. Welcome to the party. My man, you showed up and you showed out tonight, bro. You are absolutely the probably biggest reason this New York Giants team got the job done tonight. You made impact play after impact play after impact play. 12 tackles, 9 of them solo, 1 sack, a touchdown, a forced fumble. Let's go, Kayvon Thibodeau. Let's go, baby. Welcome to the dance, young man. Did the damn thing out there, man. Out there balling. Got nothing but love for you, man. Saquon Barkley, another modest performance, man. I mean, he came on strong at the end, late in the game. Started making some nice runs, some nice chunk runs. Inflated his stats a little bit, but overall, he was still fairly quiet for the most part. I'm gonna keep it all the way real. His stat line reads like he had a great game. He had a pretty solid game. And I guess overall he did. He came through in the clutch when we needed him most. But let's face it, it wasn't nothing spectacular most of the way. He had, like I said, he had a few big chunk runs on that last drive in late in the game. And sure, that's what your superstar does. You rely on him, and you rely on him to carry you the rest of the way across that finish line. This offense, though, is just, I'm sorry. We talked about the good. Kayvon Thibodeau was the good. This offense, we won the football game, but it was still bad. I'm sorry. We didn't take one single shot down the field at any point in time in this football game. And at some point in time, you got to do that, man. You gotta take a shot every once in a while, because good things can happen, whether it be a force or pass interference penalty or your receiver flat out makes a fucking play and catches the football. But you got to take shots down the field. This offense didn't take one single shot down the field this entire game. That is mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. Once again, that receiver that shall remain nameless, but wears a number 19 for the New York Giants, was on the field. Yet again, non-factor. We are in week 15. This dude is getting $72 million from the New York Football Giants. And he has 4 catches on the season. 4. 4 catches for like 50 yards. So I'm still just confused at all of this. Because our offense is just stagnant. And right now, this puts us in a good position. We're in a good way. We're in a good spot. If we can win so much as one more fucking game this season, we're in a good spot to hang on and get a postseason, get into that postseason. But we're going to need to see way more offense than what we're seeing right now. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't want to come off like I'm some unhappy, bitter New York Giant fan that we won and it's still not good enough. No, I'm very happy we got the job done and got the W. But I got to speak the facts here, and this offense ain't it. It's not it. We had times to slam the door on this game we could have slammed during this game way sooner than it coming down to what it came down to. I mean, we got a blessing that the referees didn't call that pass interference late, because that would have just gave the Commanders four more fresh downs right at the one. So we got a blessing there. What's going on, Almighty man? How you feeling tonight after that W, bro? I mean, it puts us in a good spot, but like I said, this offense it's gotta do more if we have any chance of making any kind of noise in the postseason. I mean, the defense I would assume will potentially get healthier and for a postseason run. No, I would assume we could get a Dory Jackson, maybe Xavier McKinney back if we could make it get into the postseason, and that'll definitely improve this defense. But this offense got to still show an ability to score points. You got to put the football in your quarterback's hands and let them sink or swim, man. Yeah, that's exactly what I just said, man. I'll take it. I'll take the W. I don't want to sound like I'm upset that we won. I'm very happy we won the football game, but like you just said, the same thing I just said, this offense ain't it. It's not. What's going on, Miz? This offense is just not it, though, man. We gotta be able to score points, man. We're not going to be able to advance in the postseason scoring 20 points. And barely doing it. And barely doing that. And hell, 7 to 6 of the damn points came from the defense. I mean, I can see that, Miz, getting them some real receivers. But at the same time, we got to take shots down the field, man. We didn't throw one pass down the field this whole entire game. Not one single shot down the field. Here comes my guy Jeffy in here, man. Not one single shot down the field. So like I said, I'm happy with the W, but this offense got to figure something out, man. We got to figure something out offensively, because it's not going to be good enough to get through, make a postseason run with this offense looking like this.
Hey, Mac. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man?
Doing good. How are you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Like I said, I'm good with the win, man, but I'm stuck on this offense right now, and I'm still not feeling it, man. I'm still not feeling this offense. We had so many opportunities to close the door on this game so much earlier. It shouldn't even have come down to all of that. It shouldn't come down to people now questioning, oh, did we deserve to win with that obvious pass interference they didn't call late on that last play. I mean, it shouldn't have come down to that. That's all. And it's bothering me because this defense is so undermanned and they play so hard. And yeah, we give up some big plays here and there, obviously, but they play so hard. And this offense, it's just, other than that one huge drive in the game, what did the offense really do in this game? Like, what did they really do?
Barkley was held down for pretty much the whole game until that one drive where he made it all the way to the end, got us in field goal range. I want to say this first. How about Kayvon motherfreaking Thibodeau? How about Kayvon Thibodeau? That monster number 5 went out there and he single-handedly won this football game for us. What a performance by Kayvon Thibodeau. That's why you draft that kid in the first round, pick number 5 out of Oregon. He went out there and he dominated that football game. Is he a bust, Matt? Is he a bust, Coach? Matt, is he a bust?
Kayvon was huge tonight. Kayvon was huge tonight.
Monster in that football game.
Mm-hmm.
And Landon Collins, too. Salute to Landon Collins. He made nice plays on the field, too.
It's definitely, man.
I hear what
you're saying. There's concerns with the offense, and the play calling, and Jeff knows I was calling it with some of it. Mac, you're right in terms of taking shots downfield. I always believe in that philosophy, especially to starting. Just let them know that you're going to take the shots downfield. I got it. The short passing game was kind of in addition to the running game. There were some that you executed that were good. But, I get where you're going, where they have to do more to get downfield, just in taking the shots, because Richie James leading the receiving yards at the receivers, 42 yards?
Yeah.
That's exactly. Not going to do it.
No.
So, I definitely understand and see where you're going with that. So, um, I mean, other teams, if you're playing the Eagles, you're not going to win with an offense like that. I agree with you. You're not, and
Minnesota
you're
can
trying
run
to
it
get
up and
into the
down on us
playoffs.
too.
Minnesota, that Minnesota can, do some of the things that off defensively does give us problems. I have to really look at their offense, but you can't rely on DJ and Saquon every game. You
Yeah,
just can't.
No.
So
you can't.
yes, you need Slayton. Just get him downfield, because I think if you attack downfield, it also gives him confidence. Because short passes is not his forte. We all know that. He's the deep threat.
No. Absolutely.
I mean, Richie James in the slot was fine. I mean, he was okay. He's not supposed to be your number one receiver in a situation like that. But Kafka definitely he has to do something. The offensive and switching the offensive line. I mean, I didn't understand why you took Breida. I mean, not Breida. Bredesen out to start the second half. I mean, I understand about Gates. Fine, he's the starter. If anything, put him back to center. I'd rather see him at center. Get Feliciano out, because there were times Feliciano got driven back.
Bredesen was such a huge difference on that offensive
Yes.
line. He was such a monster difference. When we put him in there, the offense started to get going a little bit more, especially running the football. I don't know if you saw those last couple of runs by Barkley, Mac, but Bredesen opened up that hole on the
Hmm.
inside to allow Barkley to run right up the middle. Bredesen is a monster return for that offensive line overall.
I agree,
Well,
but
I think.
my,
Go ahead. Go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Matt.
coach.
No, no,
No,
no.
I
Go
was just
ahead,
gonna
bro.
say my whole thing with taking shots down the field, even if it doesn't necessarily work,
Hmm.
you got to make the defense know that you're going to
Hmm.
do it. You, they
Hmm.
you can't make it so easy. It was times in this game where I'm sitting there watching this, and I know exactly what we're going to run. Just looking at them come up, line up, I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, they
Hmm.
just great. Turn around and have Barkley run right into the teeth of the defense, and like you're not making them think about it. You're just playing right into their hands,
Yeah, coach was
and
saying
and it
that.
you gotta give them something to think about and make them feel like, oh, gotta be careful. They might take this shot downfield to their fast speed guy Slayton out here. You gotta make them at least. Got to keep them guessing, man. And we're not doing that offense. We're not keeping defenses guessing. We're just making it kind of easy. Everything they pretty much game plan for all week when they're practicing, preparing for us, we just go out there and do. So it's like we're just doing what they want us to do, and they're making it
Hmm.
too easy for defenses. I feel like with our offense, it's just I got very like I said. I can't reiterate this enough. Happy we got the W. Don't get it, my words misconstrued. Very happy with the win. But we got to do more offensively, man, than what we're doing. It's just too stale offensively, and and
It's, it,
and we got to figure it out.
Mac, I think we already know what this offense is, and I don't know if this coaching staff really trusts this offense to be able to go out there and operate to the level that they're expecting. They know these wide receivers are not that they are what they are on the wide receiver position. Tight end position didn't help us that much today either. It's pretty much we have to hope that Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones can go out there and make the key plays necessary to help put us over the top, and we have to rely on our defense to go out there and make those big stops in the run game and the pass game. I thought the run defense actually, even though it got gashed at times, still played a little bit better against the run completely. We're back to we won in an old school Giants way. Us
Hmm.
running the football towards the end, pass rush. I can't say stop the run because we still weren't stop the run on a consistent basis. And then our
Hmm.
quarterback made some key throws, and our running back was able to make some key runs in the key part of the game.
Yeah,
Special teams though is starting to become a problem.
Mac. You got two who
Oh,
want to jump on, Mac.
yeah, Mac and NYG want to hop on.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll drop the link in a second.
Yeah,
Um, in terms of the offense, I mean, I did like those 3 to 4 plays in a row where they were running inside traps,
yeah,
and Washington couldn't stop it, and Barkley was just killing it, especially with the spin moves. They did move in those situations, so that was good, and that's where the creativity comes into play, because it's a simple but it's creative, because
exactly.
most teams in the NFL they're expecting inside zone as opposed to traps, and you run the traps. It's a good thing, and it catches teams, and that middle was right there. So, but like to Mac's point, yes, you got to attack downfield. We're too often, and yes, it's a product of, to be brutally honest, they do not trust the receivers.
No,
That's really what it boils down to.
no.
I mean, yeah, we do need to attack once in a while downfield just to get them to back off, you know. And then we're not saying every play. I'm not even saying that, but it's
Hey,
a
Miz.
matter of so it's a matter of just give them to say, hey, they're still going to try and do it. Or you know what, you're going to catch someone by surprise. The next thing you know, just like that game against the Titans where Shepard got behind and it was wide open. It's
Yeah.
just little things like that that you know what, you just catch them and you go. But at least they know it's there. So I agree with you there in that regard. Yes, it does open up. It
Thank you,
helps the
Mac.
offense. So but like I'm like Matt. You know me. I love a win. Especially a division win. Puts us in the sixth spot. Now we got to enjoy this just for the night and then move on to Minnesota.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? How are you guys
How
doing?
you guys doing?
What's good, fellas? What's good? How everybody doing, man?
Good. How are you doing tonight, fellas?
Doing all right, man. I'm just glad we got the W, man. I'm just disappointed with this offense still. I just don't like what I see from this offense.
I don't like what I'm seeing from
And
Darnay Holmes. Darnay Holmes is becoming a problem in this defense. He's getting beaten so much in that slot position. It's getting ridiculous how he gave up that big play to Samuel down the sideline too.
Well,
Get him the hell out of the slot.
who you going to put in? I'm telling
You
you.
have a choice right now.
Rodarius.
Okay, you talked about that. I can't argue that too. But is Rodarius a slot corner also? Isn't he more of a boundary
no,
corner?
he's more of an outside guy. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely more of an outside guy.
He's played some slot though before too.
But
Yeah,
This
yo,
year or in the past?
In the past, they moved him around a little bit on that defense.
And I always thought he was on the boundary on the outside. That's where he played best.
But what do you guys think about the game, Miz and NYG?
I love the game. I thought we went into Washington. We had an old school NFC East backyard brawl. You guys are expecting too much out of an offense that you know is not going to produce what you're looking for. I know what Mac is saying. Take a shot down the field. At least put it in their minds. That wasn't going to work tonight. Washington knows us. We know Washington, and we just did this 2 weeks ago. And bottom line, the Giants came out of there with a backyard brawl, and they scraped the win. And I think it's a big win. For a team that hasn't won in 5 weeks, this is a big win.
yeah, I
4
think
weeks.
KT has arrived, man. Kayvon
Oh,
Thibodeau,
yeah.
man, has arrived, man, and he put on display why he was pick number 5. You know what I'm saying? The draft, man. This dude came to play. He bought everything out there, man. He laid it all on the line, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shout out to Kayvon Thibodeau, man, because this is what we wanted to see, man. Big game, big time stage. You know what I'm saying? And Kayvon Thibodeau is a big time player, man. We got a player, man. You know what I'm saying?
Big time.
We need to build around KT, man. This is the real deal. This dude is the real deal, man. That's what
Yo.
I seen tonight.
And Aziz, both of them.
Yeah.
Kayvon gave you a 7 points. He gave you 7 points with his own hands, and he took away 7 at the end of the game on the half-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
When he stopped that guy on the half-yard line and gave the Giants one more chance,
Thanks,
and then
man.
the penalty
Appreciate
on the
that.
next play.
Thank you, Mac.
Yeah, appreciate you, Mac, man. Appreciate you letting me on too, man. But
ain't no but a thing, man.
I heard you guys talking about the offense. The offense ran primarily through Saquon Barkley, and I like what they did in the fourth quarter, just letting him eat like that. You know what I'm saying? Getting us all the way down towards the goal line, and ultimately able to come away with the field goal or whatever. But it's not great that we couldn't put enough points on the board consistently, and it's gonna show up against better teams. But right now, the Giants, they have teams in front of them that they can beat. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like this is a win that we just poo-poo because it's Washington. You know what I'm saying? The Giants have a formula. It just doesn't work against every team. It ain't going to work against teams like Philly and Detroit that can really score points. You know what I'm
Minnesota
saying?
too.
Right. Minnesota can score points, but they're streaky. So you don't know which Minnesota team you're going to get. That's why I say we got a chance against Minnesota. Depends on which team shows up. If the team show up that's cooking, you in for a long day. But if that
Yeah.
team shows up that they throwing interceptions and fumbling and doing crazy stuff, the Giants got a shot in that game. But ultimately, it comes down to beating the Colts, and I think we in there.
I mean, hypothetically, okay, the Minnesota they were down 33-0 at halftime and came back. I don't see that. I don't think our defense would allow something like that to happen if that was a situation for us. I don't believe that would happen. Problem is, I also don't believe our offense could score 33 points anyway. So it's not going to even. It's really a non-factor. It doesn't even really matter. So it's this offense. It's just
We struggled just how many we scored what? We scored 13 points on offense.
yeah.
Half our points
exactly.
almost were on the defense because of Kayvon.
Yeah, it looks
Exactly.
really bad, man, and it just looks like we've been saying that they don't have confidence in this offense. They don't have confidence in the receivers. They don't have confidence in the O line. This O line, man, has been getting beat like a drum. I mean,
they don't have receivers,
Evan
man.
Neal struggled tonight. Evan Neal
When are
Yeah.
people
struggled.
going to realize this, man? When are people going to open their eyes and realize the Giants have the worst core wide receivers in the NFL? You got to understand that. I don't
they
care.
can't catch a cold,
I'm not
man.
into the
For
whole
real,
Jones
Miz.
debate.
They can't
I'm
catch
not
a cold.
I'm not into the Jones debate and none of that. I'm just talking about the wide receivers. They never get yak. They can't turn up the field unless they got lucky and got out of 2 tackles.
Yeah.
We don't have any receivers that could go post deep and they're gone. We got none of that. We don't. We have receivers that could go 7 yards or 10 yards and turn around. I think I'm actually proud. I think Daniel Jones had one of the best games of his career tonight. And forget about the stats and the numbers. Forget about fantasy. If you just watch the game, he carried this team in moments. He did.
He had moments where he almost turned it over twice too. So I got to throw it out there.
He also got receivers who drop balls in their chest for first downs. You know what I mean?
We can't make. I mean, that's the problem. I understand that, but we can't make excuses for it either. Jones was good.
Not
He
at
made
this
some
point in the
top
season.
throws.
You can't.
No.
That's
Yeah,
where
I'm
I'm
not
at. This
making
point, at
excuses for him.
at this point in the season, we know what we are. We know what we got. We got to figure out a way to work with what we got. And at point blank in the period
man.
is our lack of talent at the receivers is still no excuse to let our offense be so predictable and so easy that we're not even so much as taking a single shot down the field. We played 4 quarters of football today and didn't throw one pass down the field. Not one. Not one attempt of a pass down the field at any point in time. You can't make it that easy for a defense. And we're getting ready to go into these playoffs if we can still hang on and make it into the playoffs. We're going to be going against all good teams. It ain't going to be no more layups and cupcakes. The playoffs, everybody's good. We're going to have to figure out something on offense. We can't just sit there and dink and dunk, dink and dink and dink and dink and dunk. Everything's a little 5-yard pass. You can't survive like that. That's not going to keep us over the top. You got to make a defense think about what you're doing, man. And we're not doing that.
The thing about it, Mac, is this offense has been bad through almost 3 coaching staffs. So to me, it's consistency here with why this offense is bad. So it's the players. A lot of it's on these players. These, like I said, Miz talked about the wide receivers, man. They couldn't catch a cold out there. It's like every time they got open and you felt like they shouldn't make the play, they dropped.
Tight ends, dude. The tight ends too.
Tight ends, the wide receivers.
Bellinger dropped a wide open pass over the middle.
You know
I know
what
it was
I'm
a little
saying?
behind
So-
it, but you got to catch that pass.
You got to catch that one.
Well, to Mac's point, though, he's right. You have to stretch the field vertically just to let them know that you're going to do it. Because if you don't, at any level, whether it's youth football to the NFL, if they know that you only have to defend sideline to sideline and about 15 yards in depth, it's easy to defend that. But if you're at your 25 and you have to also defend 75 because you technically have to, you have to keep that in mind. That's what he's alluding to. And yes, we can argue the talent at the receivers. I agree. We do not have the talent at the receiver depth. But if you just send Slayton, just send him deep. All you have to do in the beginning of the game, that's really all it boils down to. As a DC, what you say is, okay, I've game plan, I've scouted. They usually do this. Okay, now they're going to go deep. Now we got to adjust a little bit. We have to throw something in, even if it's get our safety instead of sitting at 12 yards, drop them to 18 yards. That
Yep.
opens up the mid range to the underneath where your talentless receivers now have more room to work with as opposed to a compressed field because right now they know that they don't have the space to really work. But if you're pushing Slayton deep and he's pushing the safety automatically, he's at 18 and now he's dropping and he's getting to 25. Now Daniel Jones has 20 to 10 yards underneath that he can work with to throw underneath, or you could still take it over the top because then if they start to cheat back up, just like I said earlier in that Tennessee game, what did Shep do? He got behind because they weren't expecting him to get behind. So it's still the creativity of the offense. We can kill the lack of talent. These guys are NFL players. They're there.
Exactly.
It's not
That's
like they're
exactly.
it's not like they're I love my school to death, but it's not like they're receivers at Rutgers University. They're still NFL receivers that can still get deep. Do they have to make the play? Yes. But at least if they get back there, it opens up and it helps the offense. And that's where I have issues with Kafka to a certain extent. I know he doesn't have the talent, but he still has to at least force the defense to say, you know what, we got to play back a little bit more. That's it. Once you do that, and if guys are not producing, then it comes back down to, you know what, at least he's trying, and he can't do anything with what he's doing because they're not producing. Because eventually, then it's like, you know what, keep sending him deep. He's not going to catch the ball. Or I'll send one guy with him as opposed to getting the safety and the cornerback with him, taking two guys with him. So, and that's Mac. That's your whole point, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, because like even on that last offensive drive when we got that 50-yard field goal
Mm-hmm.
from Graham Gano, I mean, even give your kicker a better opportunity there. You're not even trying to give kicker a better opportunity. You just drop back and say we're going to settle for 4 little yards here. Like, come
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on, give me a break.
They got
with that.
aggressive in the first half, and then they didn't decide to be aggressive in the second half. They were very aggressive in the
got
first
it.
half, a couple of those
They
plays.
play scared,
There
man.
was no reason to, man. There's no reason to do that. A turnover would have lost them the game. So yeah, they probably got a little conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a
Well,
lot of
whatever.
faith
They
in their
don't have a
kicker.
strong. They don't have an offense that really scares people anyway. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Why has this offense been conservative for the better part of 4 years? Why?
Talent.
That's what
It,
I'm.
it
Talent,
comes
it's
it
talent, it's
comes
talent.
back down to
That's what I'm
talent.
saying. So
Yes.
they're gonna have to get rid of some of these players, man. You know what I'm saying? Even
Well,
players
hey,
that people like.
it's going to be an overhaul come
It
this
is.
Oh,
offseason.
we
I can
know that.
We
guarantee
have
you.
not had
This
an
is
impact
pathetic.
wide receiver. We've not had an impact wide receiver on the outside since OBJ in his prime.
We haven't scored 30 points
Since
in
Dallas in week 4.
over 2 years.
Yeah, Dallas week 4 in 2020 was the last time we scored 30-plus points. That's
Yeah,
pretty
I
bad
mean,
in this new age
sad.
NFL.
And the sad part, I wanted to believe it was going to happen, and I wanted to believe this offense was going to find some way to pull something out their ass and come out there and put some points on the board. And yet, I was once again wrong. And I'm going to agree with you now, NYG. Like you said earlier this morning on your show, I'm not even going to expect I'm not going to even waste my time thinking the Giants can score 30
It
points
ain't happening.
anymore
It's not
time the
happening.
rest of this season.
No.
I'm not
Guys, you
wasting
know
my time
what?
thinking
I don't
that.
want my offense to score 30 points. I don't. I want my defense to toughen up, and I want to come out and I want to shut teams down. Now, are we going to go up against some tough offenses? Yes, but you know what? Man up, step up. Say to yourself, our offense is only going to be able to give me 20 points a game, so we got to hold them to 12, 15. Maybe we off defensively we score a touchdown, which helps the offense.
But that's asking a lot, though, coach.
I disagree.
Especially when your defense gets turnovers and your offense still can't score.
I
off the
mean,
Okay.
turnovers.
we got three
That's what
games left.
skills you.
3 games left, and 2 of them is against high-powered offenses, very high-powered offenses. So it's not. It's going to be a tall task to ask our defense
We
with all
need
the
one win,
injuries
man.
and everything else that we got
What's
to
up, Hit?
to hold the Minnesota offense or the Philadelphia Eagles offense to less than 20 points. I mean, that's a lot to ask.
That yes, I get what you're saying, but I'm saying it's the mentality. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because when you
I
play with
understand that
that,
too.
when you play with that confidence and you say, "I don't care what the offense does." I mean, I live by this saying as a head coach. I want to win the coin toss. I want to go out on defense. I want them to have the ball. I want to take the ball from them, go score defensively, come back, kick the ball to them, take the ball again, go score from them, come back, take the ball, go score again. Then I'm gonna let my offense join the party. That's a mentality. And that's the whole thing. We don't have that. We live in a day and age where everyone says this is a passing game, this is an offensive game. Where it's, to be honest with you, I still always will believe you can't take that from me. You can say whatever you want, but it's about the defense winning the championship because you got to be able to stop them at those critical moments. I'm not saying the whole game, but you have to stop them at that critical moment. You want to kill Darnay Holmes and say it was pass interference? Defense did what they had to do at that critical moment to get to win the game. And that's my whole point. It's a
It's
psyche.
also
It's a
Washington
mentality.
self-destructed as well, committing that horrendous penalty when they got that touchdown. Let's be
Yeah.
real too. Washington self-destructed in some very
Yeah.
bad moments when they had a chance to score on us. So they
And
helped
the
us out.
and
That's what you do.
the
You win.
officials helped to screw them, and the officials screwed us because I still say, because I'm looking at the rule, that when Dave's had to call that timeout with the substitution. You said, and everyone said the announcer said Washington substituted. Well, guess what? The rule says that the referees are supposed to allow the defense to substitute,
Absolutely.
and that it goes both ways. So yes, Darnay Holmes, had a penalty. Well, guess what? We got screwed there too. We could have got called for multiple guys on the field and whatever. So you know what? It's part of the game. It is a part of the game, but you know what? I guess I live in that mentality of the psyche. I just do because football. Any normal person is going to tell you, I'm not running and throwing my body into a 300-pound man, on a regular basis. It's you gotta amp them up to go out there and play, and that's where I live in terms of football. And I expect every play that somebody's going to, in that huddle, amp that defense up or amp that offense up, and somebody's going to go out there and make a play. Call me delusional, but that's how I live.
Let's just be honest too. I mean, Jones and Barkley, they did a solid job out there for what they need to do. They were invisible. And sometimes Barkley pretty much did nothing until that one drive where he drove us down on those 3 runs, getting us in position for that 50-yard field goal. But let's just be real. The defense won this football game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
specifically, the pass rush is the reason why
Mhm.
we won. Thibodeau was a
KT.
monster.
Mm-hmm.
Dexter Lawrence with that huge fumble on Heineke when they were driving down the field, and then Williams recovering it. Azeez Ojulari on that third and goal play where he was able to get the pressure on Heineke when he was rushing to the outside. That was huge. Leonard Williams recovering that fumble. Those 4 guys needed to be the disruption on that pass rush. And I believe that's the biggest reason why we won this football game, because the pass rushers that we have all been waiting to see, all healthy on that field, stepped up, and they were the major difference maker in this football game. Every single one of them played huge for us, and it's the reason why we won.
What do I always talk about in terms of winning the game? Turnovers, +2, third down efficiency. Both teams were bad, but we were 20%. Washington was 10% at third down efficiency.
Yep.
That's where we won the game.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm no. I just got to bring everything up. I just like to. I always got to bring everything up. This game. Another thing about finishing games with this Giant team. McLeod in the end zone, ball hit you right in the hands,
Man.
bro.
True.
Yep. Should have picked that.
also ends the game right there
Yes,
without any of
fair.
the extra drama.
Yes,
That ends the
yes,
game right there.
yes.
So we gotta just this team. I mean, we know a lot of these guys that are here aren't going to be here next year,
Hmm.
and and,
No.
and as they start bringing in more of their own guys to their vision of this, what they want this team to be. But these guys, man, right now we're in a spot where we have potential to play into the postseason, and I'm just still not quite sure if we're truly ready for the other teams that we'll be facing, man. I'm just not
Yeah, we
convinced.
not. But we
No.
ready. But we ready for Washington, and we ready for the Colts, and hopefully we ready for Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you, Mac. The more better teams in the NFL, the Giants aren't competing with right now because they don't have. And this is what we talk about with the offense. It's not about how you win games. I don't care about scoring 30 either. But when more than half of the league is putting up 30 points on a regular, consistent basis, and you can't even sniff 30, then that's going to cause you not to be able to compete with some of the better teams in the NFL. That's all we're saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm pretty sure that's all Mac's saying. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I mean that's just is what it is. And I said it when they lost to the Eagles. This team just not ready for the better teams. But
No.
we can make the playoffs, man. And I think they should make the playoffs, and I think they will. And I think that's a good thing because it's going to breed confidence in whoever
Hmm.
else is left from
Hmm.
the what's about to take place in the offseason. Whoever survives it, I mean, they're gonna have confidence, man, from being on a winning team, from being on a playoff team, and that's important when you're trying to build a young team and to build a new program, man, with Brian Dable and Kafka. You know what I
And
mean?
that's what it's all
Well,
about. You're right. Just get into the playoffs and get a little bit of experience so these young players know they get that taste of what it's like to be in the postseason. And it's going to help feed them even more, make them even more motivated, the guys that are coming back, to get them into a better position when we get more players in here, more talented players on the offensive side of the football. And it's going to make this team even more hungry to even go further into the playoffs next year. If we just make it, obviously we all want to win more, but I mean, if we play a San Francisco, we play a Philadelphia, even a Minnesota, they're just more talented than us on offense, and it's going to be hard to keep
Hmm.
up with them. But at the
Yeah.
same time, just getting into the playoffs means so
Hmm.
much for a football team. Just getting to the
Philadelphia.
dance, and you never know.
That's an example right there. What I'm talking about. I know how good they are. I get it. They're
They,
way better than us. Way better than us. So at the same time, but look, they played in a dogfight today against the Chicago Bears.
yep,
But they
Yeah.
find a way to win, however they got to. It's not about you said, coach. It's not about scoring 30 points. It's just winning, however you got to win. And I feel like we're limited in that circumstance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're limited when it comes to that. Like a team like the Eagles can go out there and win. However, if they got to score 40 points, they'll score 40 points. If they got to just get down and grimy and I did today against Chicago, they'll do that. Jalen Hurts had a pretty rough first half of that game, but he still came out there and was able to get the job done with his legs. You know what I mean? Second and do what they had to do to win that football game. So
absolutely.
it's just I'm waiting for us. I'm patiently waiting now for us to get to that level. You know,
But
because
see,
at
I
this
don't.
point,
Adam wants to
I
hop
guess
on.
I guess what I'm taking is the expectation is right now, and I'm not in that expectation of right now. I see what is being built for the future. That's why,
Yeah.
for me, like I don't know why it just seems like there's a lot of doom and gloom right now, as opposed to all right, you know what? We're talented. I mean, we're talentless in comparison to the Philadelphias, to the Dallas. I mean, I'm San Francisco. I'm going to be honest with that. I understand that. Yes, you can come up with a game plan to compete and beat them once in a while. Any given Sunday, any team in the
True
NFL can
that.
beat anyone. You know, it's just that the doom and gloom mentality is what, for me, I don't take. I don't subscribe to that. That's me, but I also see what I see for the future coming from what I saw from the previous regimes in terms of general manager and then the coaching staffs.
Yeah.
This is refreshing for me. That's why it's like it's not for me. It's not doom and gloom. It's tough to watch at times, yes, but I can also sit and watch a game 2-0, and I don't care if I'm winning 10 games like that because you know what? I won 10 games 2-0. That's me. That's me. That's just how I am. I mean, and I get it. Most other fans, I get it. A lot of them are fantasy and all that. They want offense. I get it. I understand. People don't think I don't understand that. I just don't care about that because I could watch old school wishbone football, getting the 6-2 defense, and we just go. Mac and Miz know what I'm talking about, and you can just go back and forth with that. And most fans will say, "Oh, that's boring." And I'm sitting there watching the line, seeing how they blocking, just little things like that. But that's me. That's how I love this game. And most people don't love it like that with me. And I get it. And I respect y'all that don't. And I respect y'all that want the fantasy points and all that. And I don't begrudge it.
No matter how we win, just get the W.
It's not so much about the
school game like that.
about the fantasy stuff though. With me, it's more or less I watch other teams around the league, and it's like Miami Dolphins. Take them for example. Everybody knows they want to get the ball to Tyreek Hill, and they find ways to do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
They find ways
And
to do it.
Jalen Waddle, both those guys.
It's not like the defenses aren't game planning to stop these superstars they have on their team, but they still find ways to get the ball into their hands and positions for them to make plays. I just want to see us get to a point where we can start. I know we don't have any of those kind of guys. I get that, but
it'll come, man.
You got
It'll
Saquon
come.
Barkley, man, and to me, it seemed like a lot of times. I mean, look, we've been through what 4 coaching staffs with Saquon Barkley. It seems like none of them know how to use the guy. I don't get it, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? You
pretty effective his rookie season.
He may not be.
Yeah, but these past 3-4 years, man, it seems like they don't really know how to use them, man. And I don't know why, man. And I'm thinking like Brian Dable and Mike Kafka never had a running back like this. They don't really rely on a running game like this. This is new to them. That's why it looks funky to me. They want to pass the ball, but they can't.
The question you have to ask yourself, and how you doing, fellas, is I know you said his rookie year he had a lot of checkdowns, but he had a lot of receptions. So his yardage was like 500 yards, but he had like 90 something receptions. It was insane. I think what it shows you is that Barkley is not the athlete that I think we think him to be, right? He's not going to go out there and be a Marshall Faulk or a back that catches like a receiver. He's more of a pounded back. So what they need to do is utilize him a little bit more on screens, on slant routes, and maybe one route they could use him on is a wheel route. When are we going to see a fucking wheel route? In this offense, even with Marita.
New Orleans game last year, Adam,
even Marita, right? But we talk badly about Jason Garrett's offense, right? But there were times in his offense where, they were doing different things. Here we can't even we run the same plays. It's one read and pop, handoff, run, read and pop. Like I was sitting there and I predicted the play. They were inside their own goal line. I'm like, right, what? Daniel Jones like under center. I'm like, watch, they're going to hand the ball off. And what did they do? They hand the ball off. I mean, if you're that predictable, the defense is eventually going to key on that. When we play better defenses and better teams, because the Washington team is god awful. Okay, they are god awful. Every time they had momentum, it was taken away by stupidity, a penalty, or the defense, getting something. Thibodeau played out of his mind, but our run defense, I mean, they were getting 7-8 yards a gain sometimes. I'm like, my God, you guys got to. Even we had Leonard Williams in there, and I'm just worried that down the road, and I know. Coach, you don't like to score points or whatever, and that's the sexy thing nowadays. But if a team puts up 24 and we can barely put up 20, that's concerning to me. You know what I mean? And I don't care if the league is doing this. We had the Colts put up 36 points against the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, and their team is in disarray. So, I mean, we need to at least be able to generate something, because what we're doing is keeping teams in games with this, clunk of an offense. I mean, the Giants get the ball back and they run the football, then they get bogged down, then they throw an incomplete pass, almost gets fumbled, and then they kick a 50-yard field goal. And then in the ensuing drive, we don't even have special teams. The guy gets to basically the 40-yard line of the other team. It seems like that's happened That seems to happen week after week. I mean, it happened against Philadelphia. We go down and score a touchdown. The guy ran it back 65 yards and gave him a short field. We can't do that against Minnesota. We can't do that against Philadelphia or hell, even San Fran. Right now we're slotted to go to San Francisco. That team's defense plays ferocious. They play a championship level style defense that will eat offenses like us up. And when they get short field and start to score points, because that's what they'll do, we can't sit back and go, well, we're going to now dink and dunk down the field and hopefully, we get into the end zone. I mean, Mac is right. They didn't even take a shot downfield. We got to the end zone, inside the red zone. We don't throw it in the end zone at all. The Redskins, who freaking have a terrible, terrible quarterback and terrible offensive system, are still throwing the ball in the end zone. I mean, come on. We're not doing any of that. And I don't know what the philosophy is. I mean, Brian Dable came from, the Buffalo Bills, and we have Kafka coming from Kansas City. Those teams do spread offenses. They don't even use run games. All they do is turn and throw 5 yards, and they run from the shotgun the entire time. We do that, but it looks like we're running a high school offense, JV offense. It's like, oh, here's a read, 5 yards. Here's a read, 5 yards. Loosen up the defense a bit. Barkley still didn't get over 100 yards. I wonder why.
They don't have the players they want, Adam. Point
blank. I know they don't. I know that. Trust me. Trust me. It is. You don't need to tell me. I know, but I'm not coming on this show to get into the personnel. I'll wait till we're eliminated from the playoffs to get into that.
Right. But that's why they play that style of offense. It's why. I mean, that is the reason. Whether we like it or not, that's the reason why.
But it's concerning to me because it's like we've just seen 4 years of offense, and the only guy that has gotten the best out of the offense is a guy that's not even here now. That was Pat Shurmur. I mean, when Shurmur came in, the offense was shitty, and the reason why
Pat Shurmur was like the golden years. Now that's crazy to think.
But think about it.
Like his offense.
Pat Shurmur came in, right, and the reason they drafted Barkley was because they had a bad offensive line. So Dave Gettleman's explanation was, well, Barkley's going to make the offensive line better because he'll juke guys out, and you don't need the line. So it worked again in his rookie year. His second year, he comes in. They draft Daniel Jones. He realizes that Eli Manning can't scramble the way that you need in this offense because there were lanes to be had. Case in point, Tampa Bay, when Daniel Jones starts, the floodgates opened and they ran. Eli probably makes that because that's how wide open it was, but that was the methodology for that. What then happens is Gettleman and the league get all upset and uppity, right? That we still suck, even though they didn't quit on Pat Shurmur. They just played terrible, okay? Because they were scoring points with Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur, Daniel Jones threw 5 touchdowns in a game against the Redskins. So, like, what was different? There was not that much different. The personnel wasn't that much better than it is now. It's the philosophy was different. The offense fit what was going on. We brought in Joe Judge, who did the grinded out shit, who would like, hey, let's have our defense win us a football game, and we'll win 13-0 because we don't want to turn the fucking ball over, and we have nobody because our running back is gone. The second year, they brought in guys to try to open it up more, and it didn't work out because the offensive line was so putrid that they decided to just run comeback routes so that the quarterback had somebody to dump the ball off to, right? This year, we've revamped everything, and yet the problem is we built the offense for a running back, and when that running back doesn't do well, we are limited because of the pass catchers. But then I look across the league, and I see guys getting the ball out to these other players. You know what I mean? Like, some guys are making plays every week that we're picking up on fantasy the next week because they had a big game. That's what you're supposed to do. So I understand we're limited in personnel, but where's the creativity? There's not a reverse. There's not a screen. There's not much. All we do is line up and hope that Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley can get running lanes.
Well, I agree with you there in terms of the creativity.
Well said, Matt. Adam.
I have talked about that. The creativity. That goes into, like I was just saying with Mac, where you attack downfield, because what that does is opens up the underneath. It does. It goes into creativity. Where is the flood route concepts? We don't even do that, where we're layering, 3 to one side.
I don't know why that is. I mean, I have an idea, but I'm not going to get into it here. My issue is this, right? This is why I get a little frustrated. We sit here every week and say the same fucking things, right? Yet when they go back and watch film every week, and yet we see the same shit every week. And they're sitting there looking at those tablets, and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You playing fucking Sudoku or something? Like, what is happening? Because I've seen offensive coordinators make fucking plays up on the sideline. He's like, they go back and they look at the film, and it was interesting because Chris Collinsworth said this, right? Tyler Heineke did an RPO and then gave the ball to the running back. And he's like, oh, he shouldn't have done that. If he goes back and he looks, he's going to see it open. Well, guess what happened? They do the same play, and he runs 14 yards in the outside. So I guess they looked, they talked, they had a conference, had some tea, and said, hey, maybe you should hold the ball next time and roll out. Meanwhile, on the Giants sideline, we're playing like a calamity of errors. Every week there's some stupidity that goes on with the transfer of plays and substitutions. But we're sitting here looking at our tablet, and we go, yep, you know what? We're going to run the football again. Don't worry about it, guys. We'll get them next time. I feel like I'm watching the Green Bay offense of 1967, where it's like run, make a lane, alley, run, run, run. We don't have the horses for that. Our offensive line is more of a finessed offensive line. They're more built for pass blocking. That's what they are. I mean, if you want road graders, you move Neal to guard. You get yourself a big tackle like that, or you bring in McKeithen next year, and you bring in big, solid guards. We need a better center to run downhill, because the problem is the philosophy of our team is we want to be a pass team when we run the football as our strength, and our strength is not where it needs to be. We want to be more of a pass team, and look at how it's built, right? They have 3 tight ends. You can't name one of them. Right, Daniel Bellinger, and look, Nick Van Ette, he's a journeyman. What happened to Tanner Hudson? Oh, he's bagging groceries at Walmart. I think I saw him the other day. They bring in Chris Myrek, who, God, I mean, what does he get? One play? I mean, we don't even have a fullback in this roster. Maybe if we had an identity going forward and saying we wanted to build around a running back, maybe we would have kept the fullback, and you would have seen a little bit different personnel. I mean, we don't even have a back to help Barkley out. He just runs into the back of the offensive line every week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is too, though, I mean, what are you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, this the team you got moving forward for this season. So
yeah, but come up with something. You had 15 fucking weeks to do something. This is what we come out with every week. Think about this. Think about this, NYG, right? And I'm not just targeting you. I'm just saying.
No, I agree with you. I'm just,
we sit here every week. The coaches get paid millions of dollars, and this is the offensive performance we come out with. 13 points. Thankfully, we're playing a team that's more inept than we are. A team that has more problems because of the ownership, and there's lack of talent, and just mediocrity. I mean, this team has won 7 games 3 years in a row. The first year they went to the playoffs because there was no one playing well in the NFC East that year. The next year they couldn't get out of their own way. This year they bring in a quarterback who completely botched the system. They have a guy who's playing above the X's and O's right now, but he gives you the game as much as he takes the game from you, right? He'll give it right back to the offense. And here we are running fucking handoffs. Even when we had time to be aggressive, like I see teams come out and they just like, you know what, we're gonna put the fucking foot on their throat. Meanwhile, we're sitting here, I'm pacing in my living room, praying to the football gods that we get a stop here, that we don't do something, or that Washington does something stupid. Oh, guess what? They did. They lined up offsides, which we don't. I'm not going to get into the refs because they're their own story, but. This is what I'm talking about. Yet Washington, who's been off for 2 weeks, has receivers running all over the fucking field, is running to the running back, their quarterback's running out, and meanwhile here we are doing pedestrian offense. It's like,
why aren't we coming out at halftime and trying to like take a shot down the field or something to open
Max said it best on the show. He said the first play of the game should be a handoff, play action deep bomb. The first play of the game, they handed the ball off for a 5-yard gain. I'm like, we're going to be in for this night, aren't we? We're going to be in for this kind of night. Not even aggressive. We don't have fucking hair on our fucking nutsack to do shit. We don't. We have to hope that Mac, who said it best, we were in a text message, said the defense is going to have to do this job. As soon as he said that, the football gods were like, "I'm listening, Mac." And Kayvon Thibodeau comes up with a strip sack fumble. Right? I'm just saying that's what happened. And if it's not for that defensive play, we could lose the game 15 to fucking 13 right now because we can't get out of our own fucking way. Meanwhile, Washington's giving us the ball back, fumbles here and there in our red zone. We're not going to be able to beat the good teams, and it showed against Dallas, against the Eagles, hell, even against the fucking Detroit Lions. Okay, Detroit Lions came in there and were pedestrian. I'm sorry.
Popular opinion. I think the Detroit Lions got the best offense in the NFL. That offensive coordinator, whoever he is,
Well, they're playing their hearts out
they're
for that guy.
Oh yeah,
always.
Ben Johnson, he's
But
good.
them cats are always open. Like
Yeah, but they're
that
always
offense
aggressive. You see that?
They have a great
ridiculous,
offensive
man.
line too. Their offensive
Yeah,
line is very
that's a good
underrated.
offense, man. If they ever get a defense, they're gonna be a problem.
Listen,
Yeah.
they're heading in the right direction. They're a scary team. They're a team that, I'm worried about down the stretch because I know that everyone's like, oh yeah, we won the game, but there's no guarantee we beat the Colts, the Eagles, or Minnesota. Right. I mean, Minnesota. I mean, Indianapolis is a Jekyll and Hyde team. 1 minute they'll score no points. The next minute they're putting up 36, and you're like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? Then they're going to meet a team like us, who's on their level. Who Jeff Saturday will do a hop, skip, and a jump and say, "Skippity moo!" Like, hey, we have a team we can finally, be equal playing field on, right? Because they're not going to be scared of the Giants coming into MetLife Stadium. They had nothing to play for.
mean,
You know?
They won't be, but at the same time, I think a loss like yesterday has a way of just getting inside your head and deflating you. So hopefully we got that
was
going for us with the Colts. I mean,
Well,
that's bad.
but I'm just saying,
That was a debacle.
it is a loss. But they have Dalvin Cook, they have Justin Jefferson, they have Adam Thielen, and their quarterback was cooking. I don't. If they get up 36 to the Giants, don't worry. Our pedestrian offense will march downfield, run a couple offensive plays, hit some high fives, and say, "Yeah, guys, woohoo! We
We're
scored a
running up the
touchdown in
middle
garbage
for
time."
5 yards every single play.
They're not scoring 36 on us. That team won't score more than 14 on us. You can write that down.
Okay.
Giants
check-
defense will
check
shut
the
that
health
team
on-
down the
on
same way the
Jonathan
Giants
Taylor.
defense shut Washington down tonight. That's what you're missing. You guys sound like a bunch of losers tonight. The Giants won a big game tonight. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about.
Well, we can't critique the game. We're happy
No,
that
you
they won,
can't.
but
You
we
can't.
can't
No, you
critique the
can't.
game.
You
I guess we can't critique the game because you're up here on high and mighty.
You're mad because Jones won because you're a goddamn
Jones won. We won the game. I mean, I'm sorry that you're a little salty and you got a little sand, whatever asshole that you came up with. Here's the problem, right? Here's what happened, right? This is what happened. The team wins. The team wins. We can't talk badly about it. The team wins. The team wins. We can't talk badly about them.
You sound mad when the Giants won a big game and an enemy.
I didn't sound mad. I'm saying the entire people on this panel decided to criticize the offense, and you're coming at me for being bad. Shut up, man. Shut up, man. I don't care, man. I'm done with you, man. You're cool, bro. You're cool. Good story.
Mad about Jones.
Good story. They're not. It doesn't matter about Jones. He didn't even have that great of a game. He was average. It doesn't matter about Jones.
That's a great game. That was one of the
He
best.
didn't have that's a great game. I don't know what game you're looking at. That wasn't that great of a game. It was solid, but I'm not going to put it up in. I'm not putting his jersey in the Hall of Fame.
No, but he stood in there.
I mean, what did he do? I mean, the last play of the game, he threw they didn't even trust him, and then when they do trust him, he threw a bad pass to Slayton. So what's your point? I mean, the guy's average.
Why would you throw a ball when you're up in the game and you're trying to kill the clock and Barkley's running up the middle all over them?
Because you need to be aggressive. That you're one possession game away, man. Like, try to put it away.
That's when you throw pick sixes, when you try to be stupid in
the whatever. It's good. It's good. Whatever, man.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding Adam correctly, and I'm only talking about late in the game when they were running Barkley up the middle. Let me just hear me out. You feel that we still should have thrown the ball instead of running the ball.
You can chime in here.
No, I'm asking you because during Jeff's, I even said there you run the ball because you want to
running the football. That's fine, But you could have done some passes if you want to be a little bit more aggressive. It's not like he was throwing. I mean, he threw in harm's way a little bit, but there were some times where you needed to be aggressive a little bit. You're sitting here dinking and dunking, and then the last couple of plays, they know what's coming. I mean, you got to change it up, do something. I mean, if it wasn't for the fucking defense being shitty on the other side of the football, who knows what happens?
You misunderstand what I'm asking you.
Oh, okay.
Nah, I think I might know what you're talking about, Coach. I think because what Adam was talking about when me and him were texting, like I was saying, it almost looks like you don't have a lot of trust in Jones for real there as the coaching staff because situation is like, I get the running and keeping the clock keep the clock running. I understand all of that, but we also got to a point in that drive where it's like we basically were content settling for a 50-yard field goal attempt, whereas the good teams don't do that, man.
I get that.
Right.
50-yard field goal attempt.
Exactly.
What I'm asking is, what I was trying to get to is, because Adam said, he should have been aggressive. And my point in terms of the aggressiveness is 3 runs by Barkley were what was it, plus 12, plus 15 yards, 3
Yeah.
runs. That's aggressive to me. That's aggressive. I get what you're saying about throwing the ball downfield.
Well, that's because they weren't. I mean, I'm saying like if they get stopped in the backfield because they weren't blitzing at that time, and the line was blocking well. I mean, they were doing that double thing they showed on TV where they were just two guys double teaming both tackles, right? And in Washington,
they were running traps. Those were inside traps on that drive. I'm only talking about that drive.
Right. I'm talking about the reason I'm talking about that drive is because sometimes I feel like we don't play to win all the time. We play just enough to get the field goal, right? And I'm saying, like, I know that this is a one-score game, but there's still plenty of time on the clock for them to get the ball back and go downfield, which they did. Which they did, right? Which they did, exactly. Which they did. So even though you ran the football down there, you got to the 50-yard line, got bogged down because you didn't take any chances. You throw a first down, and then the pass play that they do wasn't even a pass play to the sticks. It was a pass play to the sideline.
That's what I said.
You know what I mean?
That part, I'm with you, Jeff. You even know I was talking about stuff like that.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
You were.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I was just talking about because you said that drive and you said those runs because we were backed up, and I even said, what are we going to do? We're going to probably run Barkley up the middle, and we broke for like 12, 13 yards. I was like, okay.
But I feel like that's the safe route. I'm not saying I don't agree with the run because we have one of the best backs in Barkley, put it in his hands, and he carried the mail. But if you look at what happened with Washington when they got the ball, they just threw the ball up to Jahan Dotson 60 yards on a bomb and flipped the field on us. And I'm not saying to come out and do that right away, but the game, you have like 6 minutes to go. You need to drive downfield. You need to be a little bit more aggressive past the sticks to make the field goal a little bit easier because God forbid that 50-yard field goal. I mean, thankfully we have Graham Gano and not some fucking schlub like Randy Bullock or something like that, where we can know the kick's probably going to go in plus 50. But that if we don't have a kicker that's good, that's one of those things where you're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? And so for me, I was just like, if you're a little bit more, trust you trusted him this far, right? Why not trust him with the keys to the whole thing? Say, all right, kid, you did all this. Go get us this. Instead, you turn and throw it to Slayton, who bobbles it, damn near fumbles the ball inbounds, and they almost pick it up and run. So it's like, it's just, to me, it's like, I get what you're saying with what's happening, but
he had to throw the ball there. He was just about to get crushed. He had to.
I'm not talking about throwing the ball there. I'm talking about the play design for that ball. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I get, and it's also the timing of each of the plays. I get where Adam is going. I get it.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of times they have these penalties. I think this time we got to talk about because these penalties have killed drives, man. You know what I'm saying?
A false start.
They get first down.
Evan Neal had both back-to-back false starts.
Yeah, man. It's drive killers. Football is a game of momentum.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you losing momentum like that with these drive-killing penalties, man, it just sets you off.
That hurts you when you have nobody as a receiving core. See if they get the yardage, right? Because today the run was a plus run, right? They were getting a lot of 4 or 5 yard grinders, which helps your lack of receiving talent, which, by the way, guys are getting open. Just sometimes you're not always hitting them or it's not play call's not there. But like if you get 3rd and 4, you can open it up. But still on 3rd and 4th, they don't open it up. It's just how things work. It was funny because on the other side of the broadcast, Collinsworth goes, you got to know your defense and your personnel. If Wink Martindale sees that, what he does is all of a sudden he starts to blitz on 3rd and 10 or 2nd and 10. Once Washington couldn't get those first 5 yards, their offense kind of was stagnant. The Giants seem to go forward sometimes and then go backwards, and then they kind of get caught in this quagmire, right? Of like, well, we're at 1st and 15. We do a little run play. That doesn't work. And then we have to hope that we get it. The 3rd down for both teams was terrible. I mean, like, they were both terrible.
Really bad. It was really bad.
It shows that we need a lot of stuff. We're not just one player away or one offensive lineman away. We've got to get we got to basically fill out the whole roster because a lot of these bums aren't coming back next year. I mean, Rodarius Williams he's not playing. He's a healthy scratch. We brought up Davis Webb for God knows what we brought him up for, but we brought him up. He's gone, right? We got all these. Ellison Smith can't even get out of his own way. Blocks a punt and is on the IR the next day. So we got to get some of these guys in here. It's going to take a lot of
Jim
work.
Lemieux lasted like a couple of snaps and he's already out.
Oh my
again.
God, that's what I'm seeing. But what I'm starting to see is they're starting to weed out the guys that they don't want,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
exactly.
And they may not sign some guys that we hope they do want, right? Because that's just how it may go. They may want their imprint on this team. I mean, that's just how I feel. I feel like Joe Shane and Dable are going to whenever they hoist that Lombardi, they're going to want to have their guys hoisting that Lombardi. They're not going to want anybody else's trash in here, just because that's just how your legacy is built. I know people want. So I'll mention the quarterback for this specific reason. If you win with somebody else's guy, it's never your guy. You know what I'm saying? People aren't saying to Jerry Reese, "Hey, Eli Manning was your guy." The only reason Jerry Reese gets credit for that is because he was on the staff that helped navigate that trade. If that was a regular GM, that would have been like, "Hey, you won with Eli Manning, great," but that's a curse. Of course, he brought that guy in. So I think that legacy does play big in certain circles. And like Tay Crowder, see you later, buddy. Goodbye. Hope you like Twitter. Hope you like tweeting because that's all you're going to be doing from now on.
Well, I mean,
Holmes, man, Darnay Holmes is terrible, man. You know,
he's a marked man.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of some of these bottom feeder guys, man. You know what I'm saying? These are the guys that should be on special teams to where it can help our special teams and their coverage unit.
There's
but
a reason
they
why
can't
they're
be on
journeymen.
special teams because they got to play defense and offense. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I
got
gotta give.
Cam Brown, like was on special teams.
Where's he though? Where is he? He was promising. I don't see him anymore. Carter Coughlin. I don't even know if he's on the team anymore. I mean, I see him occasionally.
He was recover a fumble.
Yeah, he was in the mix.
They were there.
It wasn't a fumble though. It was the one.
They're right where you're talking about, Adam.
Contact.
They're on special teams. So yes, the bottom feeders that you're saying, yes, we all can agree that in terms of talent, even I will say that, but I also believe, and I've coached like this for 40 years. The psyche is the most important when it comes
have great coaches for that.
Yes, you do have to have great coaches. You do have to have the ability to relate and squeeze whatever you can out of a talentless roster in comparison to the rest of the NFL. But as I said earlier to start, it just feels like with this giant fan base, it's always doom and gloom. And that's where I have an issue. I get it.
You're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong there.
And that's where I see, because I don't like this year to me. I think you even said it, Adam. We're playing with house money. We're playing with house money. So anything that we do this year, we get into the playoffs, and if I'm not expecting us to, this is not a loser mentality. But if we get into the playoffs and we go out in the first round, it's a benefit because it shows the fan base and it shows whatever players that are here that you're going to be coached up being here. And if we get the right talent in here for the right system, that this coaching staff is going to do a whole lot better. Because right now, you're playing with, just like you always say, Adam, the bottom feeders. We're 8-5-1. We're 8-5-1. If we had said this last year, coaching with bottom feeder roster, and we're fighting to get in the playoffs, how many of us would sign me up? Sign me up.
I'll take this any day of the week. I'll take this any day of the week from the crap.
My point. It's like we argue Daniel Jones this, Daniel Jones that, instead of looking at the big picture.
Oh no, I look at the big picture as well. Not
Joe Shane. I said it. Jones Shane has said from day one, what was his compete for today, build for the future.
And you know what also looks great in the future?
For today, and he's building for the future.
He's done a great job. I mean, I got to give it to those two guys.
You know what looks also great in the future? I think we got ourselves a solid pass rush. The pass rush gives us a lot of promise with those four guys out there. Thibodeau, Ojulari, Leonard Williams, and Dexter Lawrence. Those four guys hold the line of scrimmage for most of that game. All four of them.
That's the whole thing. It's like I see, and I'm just like you said, they're going to get out the guys that they want.
Well, they got nobody behind him, man. They're burning him out.
But okay, that's this year. That's this year. I'm sorry to say, that's this year. And that's the whole thing. It's like sometimes I guess that's where I'm just like, I just want to get through this season. If we make it far in the playoffs, great. I'm going to be rocking and supporting. But right now, I see the future, and I'm just like, you know what? Within the next 2 years, I see
2024.
Exactly. We're going to be like the Philadelphia Eagles. That's my thought process.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm delusional. I don't know, but I see.
Well, the only thing that I
Hold
would
on,
say there is I
real
think we
quick,
have a
real quick, because
little bit. Go ahead.
I want to say something real quick. One, because Alex's question, put his question in the chat, and I have been curious about this actually for the last couple of weeks.
Dane Belton.
Why is this kid all of a sudden just missing in
How
action?
many, how many of the
He's not
rookies
doing well.
and how many of the rookies are they trusting right now because it's getting down to crunch time?
They trust Pinnock and Love
Yeah.
more than they do
Yeah.
He's
Dane
saying
Belton.
he's not
Landon
doing.
Collins in there, man. Shout out to Landon Collins, man. You know what I'm saying? Showing up
Had
in
a good
run
game.
defense, man. We
I'm
talked
thinking-
about that on the stream earlier too, man. About
My
Landon
thing is with
Collins.
this secondary right now, I don't feel like we can hold anybody back. You gotta let. I mean, just let everybody get
Right.
something because we don't
Well-
have anybody good enough to be like, well, you're just the man and you're going to hold this position.
That's
Like,
true.
Well, no, I like what Pinnock's
back there-
done. I think.
Darius Williams should get a shot though.
Well, I think
I like
Dane
our
Belton's been
safety.
missing assignments. That's what happens. If you look at this is why the coaches get paid, right? They go back and they observe the film. You know, us casual fans may not always, have the all 22 or see what's going on. And I think what's happening is Dane Belton came out like gangbusters when he came back, returning a fumble and all that stuff. But then when they decided to rely on him, he wasn't quite ready. Remember, he's a 4th-round pick out of Iowa, right? He was supposed to be a kind of a money backer type of player, but again, he's not. Probably not reading his keys, and Justin Pinnock has come up over him. Why? Because he can cover better. Obviously, he can hit. That boy can lay the lumber out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys already had some NFL experience, right? Belton has not. Pinnock came from the Jets. He was a safety, he's a DB. So I think what's happening, if you're watching right now, is they're relying on the guys they trust. I mean, McLeod probably shouldn't be in the game at all, right? He doesn't provide much coverage. He gets beaten a lot, but they trust him in the game because I guess he does his assignment. So what happens is in the NFL, some coaches rather have you do your assignment and make a tackle than not make a play at all because there's guys who gamble and risk. Look at Rodarius Williams, right? Apparently, I think he probably takes too many risks and leaves guys open, so they pull him off the field. McLeod does his job. He's in his position. He may not always make a play, but he's there to make a tackle or something like that. So,
Yeah.
he very rarely makes a play.
And
well, I mean, he does make a tackle, right? He's there when the guy catches the ball.
It goes down to they're still rookies. They're still young. It's just Jeff and I were talking about that about Flott and Darnay Holmes. I mean, why is Holmes in there? Because he's a veteran guy and Flott is a rookie. And you would probably rather Holmes. Worst case scenario, he's there to make a play and make a tackle. Not always
He's got talent.
But Flott would get totally. How many times have we seen him out there and he's totally lost?
Oh my God.
So it's like you're damned.
He probably wouldn't play if Robinson was healthy.
And that's my whole point. It's
Yeah,
like
too,
he's a rookie. Dane Belton is a rookie, and you're playing probably one of the most difficult positions. Safety and corner slot are two of the most difficult positions, other than the offensive tackle and your quarterback positions in terms of the mental aspect of the game, because you really have to be on point and you have to know safeties. You're the last line of defense. That's just the way it is. You just are. You have to not only be back, but you also have to be able to cover. You have to read. You have to understand the right angles to take. In corner slot, you have to, Darnay Holmes on that one play where he turned his back to the sideline and ran right up the sideline. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know what the hell he was doing on that play, that Curtis Samuel catch.
If you're covered 2, then you expand, and if he catches that ball, he's right in front of you, and you make the tackle. So it's like, yeah, but now if that's your teaching also as coaches, then I can't expect Flock to be out there to do that.
I think some people fall into bad habits. I mean,
yes.
what I think is happening with this team is a lot of the guys that we see from the previous regime have had bad habits, and those bad habits haven't gone away. Tay Crowder misses tackles. That's why he's not on the field, right? He doesn't do his assignment correctly. That's why he's not on the field. Jalen Smith blows a tackle, but as my coaches will say, make your mistake aggressively. He aggressively makes his mistake, so it's like, all right, well, I can live with the fact that you missed the tackle because you blew the hell out of the guard. He got blown up on the play. But with Tay Crowder, it's more egregious because you're missing the assignments that are there, right? Yeah. So guys like that, like for example, McLeod and Fabian Monroe. Fabian Monroe is not really that great. But again, he does his job within the confines of the defense. And so he's allowed to be on the field to make those plays. Darnay Holmes is the best of what they got. They know that he's got more talent than Flott and is more of a veteran, but he's a marked man, obviously, in the NFL. As many holding penalties as this guy gets or pass interference penalties, I mean, man, you'd be rich if you bet on that guy, because it seems like every time he's in the game, he gets one, right? But then he'll make a play and then get injured and be out for 4 weeks. I mean, that's the story of Darnay Holmes, right? So what I hope happens this season, as we gain this experience, we really get in the guy, we really sit back and relax and enjoy next season as well, because next season is going to be a dogfight, right? And we may not have all the horses again, and we may be relying on some of these bottom basement feeders just because that's what happens in the NFL. There's always roster churn, right? And I don't think they have all their cornerstone guys here. But what I'm seeing across the league is once you get guys into your system and you start to build your guys and your culture, that's when you start to win games. Because it seems like across the league, I see guys come in and out of lineups and there's no drop off from the backup.
Exactly.
Right? They just keep going. Yep.
And that's what that's what Mac was saying. That's the same thing I was saying too. These injuries, they cannot be an excuse, man. You know what I'm saying? Guys got to show up, man. They gotta come out and they gotta play, man. Who's out there? They gotta show up. They gotta do their job.
And the thing that gets me that you guys are talking about is like these coaches are with you every day, every week. They know these players. Like, for example, if you're on a job, right? Your manager knows your strengths and weaknesses. Now, whether or not your manager puts you in the best positions at your job, that's up to them and up to you to understand your role. You know, I hate to talk about this show because it's reality TV, but you watch Bar Rescue, right? And it's like, if you don't know the show, the guy goes in and he tries to revamp a bar that's failing, right? So usually it all falls on the owner or the management here, right? So what also happens is you have bad employees, because once employees don't give a fuck because the manager doesn't give a fuck, they don't give a fuck, right? Yep. So what is happening now with the Giants, though, is that we had no money, because I think next year we're going to spend money on better quality depth players going forward. We may not buy the free agents that everybody wants, right? The shiny new toys, but we may get the young guys that actually are worth keeping, that are going to be spot starters, but eventually will be backup players that can come in. Because you look across the NFL, like they got guys coming in on rotation. That Buffalo Bills team, they hitting you in waves, man. I look at that team and I'm just like, damn. You know, they have guys coming in making plays from every place, right? And then you see a team like Kansas City, the 49ers, their quarterback goes down, they don't miss a beat. They all rally around each other. That offense plays, that whole team is disciplined. No matter what happens, you can put in the guy off the fucking water boy, he'll come in and get you yards. That's just how they roll. And the Giants have had guys that have failed, right? It's like we talk about Gettleman a lot, and he gets a lot of shit for it, but you know, he went for positions that just failed. It wasn't that it was the wrong position, it's just the player didn't pan out. And so right now we've got to get a lot, like you watch Romeo Okwara, we got rid of that guy, he's doing well over in the Lions. He has since he left, right? We see a lot of other guys who we had chances to keep and we let go because of certain players. This year I want them to weed out these guys. I don't want to see, Pinnock I like, actually, but I don't want to see McLeod next year. I don't want him anywhere near this team. You know what? If he wants to play special teams, great. I feel we can upgrade there, right? I feel like there's going to be a lot of roster turnover going into next year and roster construction, because we have around 11 picks right now. Who knows what we're going to do? Who knows where they're going to draft? I do believe they're going to bring in positions that from top to bottom, from quarterback to, long snapper. I think they're going to just put this roster in and bring in guys that are there. Remember, they were hamstrung, so they had to deal with some of these guys from last year, and then they had to go bargain basement shopping. Now, with more money in the next two caps, you'll start to see guys that, hopefully on like the Gawinski level, hopefully better than Gawinski, in terms of
Feliciano.
No. What I mean by is that type of tier signing.
Oh, right? No, yeah, you're right.
Golowinski was a good signing when we got him. We didn't know he was going to play this badly.
Yeah. Well, also another thing too, and MYG, I think you and I were talking about it, is like, what are we going to do eventually at that safety position between Julian Love and Xavier McKinney? Mm-hmm. I mean, we'd love to keep them both because Love has actually played pretty well this year, and McKinney, we know how good he is. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep them both. How are we going to be able to decide which one of those guys we're going to be able to keep
McKinney's on a rookie. McKinney's still on a rookie contract.
Right, but the question, Do you break the bank on Julian Love, or do you just let Dane Belton take his place? Because
Right.
that's what happened with Hakeem Nicks and Ruben Randall. I know people don't like Ruben Randall, but they drafted Ruben Randall. Once Hakeem Nicks got beat up, you
But
saw his replacement right on the roster.
but the question is, if you still like Julian Love, you can still pay him because you have McKinney on a rookie contract, and you could just let him go. Because that's the question: do you prefer Love or McKinney?
Who you
You
gonna
could
pay? Because
no, but what
you
I'm
gotta
getting
make a
no,
decision now though, because Love is a free agent. So if you're gonna give Love a
no,
contract, are you gonna turn around and give McKinney a contract
no,
in
that's not
what,
what I'm
1 or
saying.
2
What I'm
years?
saying is, yeah, that's my point. You could still keep McKinney right now because he's on a rookie contract, and
Right.
pay Love now, and then when McKinney's contract comes up, if you want to let him go or you want to trade him before that, then you do what you got to do. I'm
Well,
saying like for next year, you can still keep both of them.
Oh
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
right
Yeah,
now,
next
McKinney
year.
has no leverage to stand on because the defense
Yes.
is still performing without him. So,
Hmm.
if they were a complete, well, they technically are a complete clusterfuck in the back, right? But the defense is still winning, so they can kind of mask that. See, the thing is, I think Joe Shane's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I really do. I think he's going to make the tough decisions. He knows what guys he wants here, and you can see it in their play. You can see it in the way that they're doing things. Like I do
I
think
think
some
they
of the
like
guys
Julian Love. I do.
Yeah, they really
I
do
like
think they
love
want
to me
Julian
Julian
Love
a lot.
here over
to me, it's
McKinney.
interesting that he's one of the guys who went up for extension. There was another guy, I think it was Barkley, he talked to, but he didn't talk to the quarterbacks representatives. It was alarming to me. It was like, well, why don't you want to talk to him? But we'll get into that in the offseason. But you're starting to see that because again, these are other people's players. They fit other
Yeah.
defenses that came in. Julian Love's. Thankfully for him, he's been a jack of all trades. So he's kind of molded himself into this nice career. Remember, he came in as a cornerback. He played
Hmm.
corner. He played slot corner. Then he played safety because Patrick Graham needed him all over the field, right? So hopefully, and Dexter Lawrence has shown that. And this is what I talk about when I talk about players and ascension. You can see the progress of Dexter Lawrence making leaps and bounds year by year by
Absolutely.
year, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Barkley, you already knew was talented. I hate to say it, our quarterback he's hit a plateau of just average. He hasn't really ascended to the level of where we think a sixth overall pick should be. Now, in terms of the longevity and not having the options out there, yeah, sure, you can sign him whatever you want, 2-year deal. But at the end of the day, you can also upgrade there, and I'm thinking that's where they're going to do down the road. But while they have a placeholder, they'll keep him here, right? So that's what they're going to do. You're going to see a lot of placeholding contracts for a lot of these guys on the back end until they can get their guy. Like Leonard Williams, there's no way you're going to pay that guy $32 million next year. No way you're paying him $32 million. Now, I like Leonard Williams, but he's not having the season that he's had the last couple of years.
So what do you think they do there?
It's
Well, they
tough,
restructured
really.
his deal though too.
They
I mean,
can't
he did
restructure it
lose
They
again. I
just
don't think you can only
extended him,
restructure
yeah.
once.
Yeah, so he's
So-
stuck here next year. We have no
So
choice.
thankfully, they have cap space to do something. Maybe they tear it up in general. Maybe they say and make it a completely new contract,
Yeah.
and they just say fuck it. Like we're not giving you $32 million. We'll figure out something else. I don't know. But his cap number in 2024 is very low. So it's one of those things where do we? But the thing that happens though is like let's say he gets injured next year, then you have this big albatross of a guy who's breaking down because right now he's a bad neck, he has a bad knee. I mean, I love the guy; he's the heart and soul of the defense. But the guy I'm looking for in free agency, he plays over in Buffalo, New York. Tremaine Edmonds, hey man,
Yeah.
come on down here. We could use you. You put yourself
We
right
got to
next
do
to
something about this run defense. 'Cause
right next to
Russ
Darian
is
Beavers,
yeah.
Yeah.
and here we go, baby. Away we go.
This is bad.
Absolutely.
This is bad.
Because I think that's where they're going to spend money. I think they're going to spend money in the cornerback position because, like
On the defense,
Coach said,
yeah.
cornerback and receiver and quarterback are two of the toughest positions to learn. Cornerback, you're always at a disadvantage running backwards all the time. So you're always at a disadvantage. And it's harder as a cornerback to come in through the draft. Sauce Gardner is an anomaly to the rule, right? You don't normally get guys like that. And if you're not in the top 10, you're not going to get a good corner. So what you want to do is hopefully somebody will break free from one of these teams and you'll get like an Adoree Jackson and you bring him in here. Now, some people might say, well, why would you do that? To me, for this defense, I want to bring in another corner to bolster this. I want to bring in a lot of free agents through the defense and then build the draft and build these guys up so that by the time these contracts are up, you got a guy behind them that can come in or you can trade him. Because that's what I always think, right? This guy is only going to be here for a certain amount of like Jones, right? For me, I'm not signing to a mega deal because if I do get a guy here, and he does play well, I can trade Jones, right? That's an asset to me to now trade and get back picks. The good teams aren't afraid to do that. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. I think the Giants, I think they're gonna look to bring Jones back and possibly draft behind him. Now that is tricky. I get some flack on this, but
Wow, they did it in Philadelphia with Jalen
exactly. You see it around the league. Even last year, with Malik Willis in Tennessee.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You seen it with what's my man's name?
They did Kenny Pickett as well.
Corral. You know what I'm saying? So you're seeing this kind of theme here where
San Francisco.
That's another
they,
good. That's
they drafted two guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And what you're doing is you're keeping the so-called incompetent quarterback for insurance purposes in case your rookie gets hurt or he doesn't perform well.
You start him.
You
right,
and
then
that's what
if he plays well, you got a quarterback, right? Great for you. Or you can trade him for assets later. If he plays horribly, you can throw in the quarterback behind you. I mean, look at the Eagles did, right? They were playing. They had Jalen Hurts because they wanted to bring in a quarterback, and now I'm going to say this right now. I think you need to bring one in now because more people are running RPOs. And if you watch Daniel tonight, he got his ass hit, right? They got beat up. And let's be honest, he's not the greatest runner. He doesn't hold on to the football, almost cost us with a fumble. Thank God his arm was on the ground. Otherwise, that's a turning point in the game. So I think they're going to bring in a guy, and that's, again, where our identity lies. What are we going to do? Are we being the Buffalo of the South of New York, right? Or are we going to build around Saquon Barkley? So if you are building an RPO offense, you're going to want a guy like a Jalen Hurts who comes out, right? And people are going to be like, well, how do you replace the guy? Listen, I know I have 10 quarterbacks on speed dial right now. I can throw right to you who do all the same skill sets that they're looking for out of their quarterback. So that's one thing. The other thing is if the guy gets
out in college,
yes, the other thing is that if you don't have a viable backup these days, your season could be ruined, a la Arizona, a la certain other teams. Now you look at 49ers, they're an exception to the rule. But remember, when Jimmy Garoppolo went down the first time in like 2020, they had Nick Mullins playing, and he did a yeoman's job there. Now they have a better defense, and they're bringing in Brock Purdy, who, by the way, has a little swag to him. You watch him, they're doing funky plays. That's what doesn't make any sense to me about us.
49ers can win with damn near any quarterback.
They built that roster so well around it.
No, but here's my point though, is if you didn't trust the guy, you wouldn't be running some of the plays that they ran. I mean, they ran a double screen and then hit George Kittle on a seam route. I mean, that's creativity. We have a tight end that can run a seam route. We don't want to do a double screen because I don't know what the problem is. I don't want to point the quarterback because people are going to be like, you're wrong, bro. You're Daniel Jones is freaking Joe Montana, man. His average play is what we want. Blah, 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 blah. That's what happens here. You criticize. It's like you're criticizing. I don't know, man. Like Eli got criticized, but you couldn't defend. You defended Eli. People were like, all right, man, he's kind of cool. You talk about Jones, my God. It's like he turned water into wine.
The one thing that I think when it comes to you, I'm only speaking about you when you talk about Daniel Jones. It seems like in everything that I've ever seen, you only target him and you don't really talk much more about anything else. You just say, well, I've seen him for 4 years and it's enough and it's time to move on. When to me, it's not just Jones. It's everything around. It's everything inclusive.
Well, I look at it like this, and maybe I'll break down my philosophy to you so you get a better understanding of why. It looks like I have a Jones hit piece out. Like if you were to hire me, I'm the slanderer of Jones, right? If we were on campaign, I'd be the one that says this message is approved by, Adam Costas or some shit like that, right? You know what I mean? Because of how I kill the guy. But what I am doing is, the quarterback to me is one of the trickiest positions in the entire world of sports. You hold the ball the most.
Alex, yeah.
Alex is right. My eyes, Jones ain't the problem nor the solution. He's right.
So if he's in the middle, he's a thing that you can replace. I look at it like this, right? You're gonna hate me again. You're gonna hate me again. It is where reality TV comes in. I hate it. My wife watches reality TV, so I join in. HGTV comes on. Yeah, I watch HGTV. What do you got to say? I know what a fucking backsplash is. Give me a break. So, anyways, the people come in to their house, right? And they're trying to replace this stuff, right? I only got a budget for this. I only got a budget for that. Well, they keep the kitchen, which they don't really like, but it's a functional kitchen, right? Eventually, you want to upgrade. You want that fucking open concept and the island in the middle. You want all the good stuff, right? But you can't have it right now because either you can't afford it or you need other renovations or other problems. So what you do is you fix the leaky roof, you fix the fucking basement, you fix this, you fix that. But the kitchen that you really want, your dream kitchen, can stay there because it's functional right now. That's what Daniel Jones is. He's knockoff Listerine, and he's also a kitchen that you keep when you move into a house and you can't afford it. Now, my thing is this. I like Daniel Jones coming out. As a matter of fact, I'm one of many fans who liked him prior to when everybody was hating the guy. I was like, I don't know what's so bad about this guy. It's got some game to him, blah, blah, blah. It was last year where all of a sudden it was just like everyone blamed the offensive line. I go back and I watch the film, and the offensive line is blocking for him, and he's missing receivers. So then I sit here and I'm like, Is it? And then I look back, right? If you look at my investigative reporting, I look at Jason Garrett's offense, right? 2 years in Jason Garrett's offense, he has 10 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns, right? He had a little bit better personnel in those two offenses. In this offense, he's still throwing, moderate touchdowns. Now you can always blame the receivers, but a scout who I read last week on the show, he said Daniel Jones is not making certain throws that big time quarterbacks in his position make, and that's been a problem of his for 4 years. So I don't necessarily dislike everything else. I know everything else stinks on the team. I know the offensive line is bad, but Justin Herbert had a bad offensive line. He still was throwing passes all over the field. You know what I'm saying? So I can't just always harp on things, because my thing is this. I get a little more angry when everyone keeps telling me, well, it's not Daniels, not this, not that. Like, listen, it starts with him, right? And then everything else around him.
That's where you and I disagree. It does not start with Daniel Jones.
Well, who does it start with in Kansas City?
I'm a trench warfare type of guy. You can tell me whoever. I don't care if it's Mahomes. I don't care.
You're talking
if it's
about the offensive line.
Brady.
I get that.
No. It doesn't matter if it's the offensive line or the defensive line. It always starts and stops there. That's where I'm old school. I'm antiquated. I need to get up with the times.
I agree with you on that, Coach.
You can't.
I don't disagree with you there.
So
I would have taken Nelson over Barkley. Somebody asked me who works for ESPN, a good friend of mine. He works for ESPN. We had a chat. He said, Adam, I know you're a smart guy. Who would you have taken? I said, I'm taking fucking Nelson, and I'm running away. I don't care if he's number 2 overall pick. So don't get me wrong. But the thing is this: when they bring in guys, there is time, right? And still shit doesn't get done. I'm not a guy that's just going to keep running into the wall and say, it's the receivers. When then I go back and read a game review from some scout who is actual scout, gets paid, he writes a publication, he's on many different platforms, who goes to me telling me that Richie James is getting separation down the field, then I'm wondering, well, wait, if Richie James is getting separation and the offensive line is actually blocking, yet the throw wasn't made to said player.
What's the progression read? No, I get where you're going. And that's the thing that bothers me.
And here I am. Let me finish. Go ahead. Because if there's times to scan the field. So if he has time to scan the field, which he sometimes does, and he doesn't move his head from that position, then I have to ask myself, is it on the coaching? And then I go back to the film, and this same scout goes, he only does one reads or things that are in front of him, right? So I'm like, I go back and rewatch the film, and Daniel Jones's head is on one side of the field. So the thing is like this. Like, I agree with you. It's offensive line, but I can't just blame the receivers all the time. Yes. Are they not great? But how many times have we seen a 50-50 ball? Jerry Sling went up and got one. I mean, Isaiah Hodge is 6'4". You don't think you can throw a ball to him? I mean, this is a simple football we're talking about. We're not being complicated here.
Adam, I'm not saying – see, what I'm saying is I say it's the whole thing. It's not just Daniel Jones. Do you
But
hear me? It's
I
not
can't.
just. Hold a minute. It's not just like you say. You've seen and you go back and you watch the film, and his head stays one way. Where I've gone and I've looked at quite a few games, and I've seen this man scan the field, go left or right, and he's not just doing one read and going.
Well, that's
Now
not
I
me. That's
can't
not
tell
my
that.
words. That's
No, I
somebody else's
understand.
words, and I will go and
But
corroborating what that person is saying. So I'm
you
going
said
back to
that's the
check.
point. You said you're corroborating, so it is your words. Because if
I
you've
think
done
what
it,
it is, I think it's a bad fit, man.
thank
It's
you.
a bad fit. Daniel
Oh,
Jones is
there
a
you
bad
go.
fit
So
for
what?
New York
No,
Giants and
but
in the
to say
offense that
he
Mike
can't do
Kafka
that,
and Brian
But
Dable
but
want to
but
run.
but
I think
but
that's what
coach,
it is, man.
coach,
Probably
they've
might
got
be
write-ups
right.
of this guy. They've got write-ups of this guy where his weakness has not grown in certain areas, and they're still showing today.
I'm not denying he
I
doesn't
think
have
if
the
Okay,
Daniel
weakness.
Jones was
but
starting
let
from
me
scratch in this offense, I think if Daniel Jones was starting from scratch in this offense,
he
we
did start
wouldn't
from
be saying
scratch.
the same
You
things
mean
as a
drafted?
rookie. You know what I'm
Okay, yeah,
saying? Yeah,
and
as a
and
rookie.
I agree with you there, NYG.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to get a new guy in here who doesn't have tendencies because if I look at the offense right now, and here's my investor. I'm putting my Inspector Gadget hat on right now, and I'm going from August. I'm going from April to now. Right in April, all we heard was, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. Right. Dable came in first day of training camp. They're like, we don't care about interceptions. Throw him all you want. All he did was throw picks for the first 2 weeks of camp. Right. Then all of a sudden, in week 3 of camp, all of a sudden he's now 6 for 6, 10 for 10, all this shit. And I'm like, how do you go from throwing picks and not knowing a damn thing in the offense to all of a sudden it clicking? And then I look and I see the write-ups in camp and I see, Tyrod Taylor throwing all over the yard, Davis Webb throwing all over the yard, Daniel Jones, check down, check down, check down, check. Okay, so that's telling me right there with those things that there's some trust issues involved in what's going on. Now, I don't want to just say it's all Daniel Jones, but Brian Dable and Mike Kafka are smart people. Yet we're still getting the same results from Jason Garrett. We didn't change the fucking. We changed the paint of the car, but we didn't change the engine, and it still is running the same way. So, I mean, it's not rocket science for me on what maybe the issue is. Now, some people tell me this. Well, Adam, well, if you put somebody else in this offense, they're going to be bad. I'm like, no, you're not. Mahomes is still going to be Mahomes, whether it's in this offense or not. You can't tell me he won't be because I see him every week, and I know that what he's going to do if he had some of the time he had here. It's just that's who he is. People are scared of Mahomes already. Nobody's scared of Daniel Jones coming out the gate because they know that they don't trust him to throw the football because look at this offense. It's been coddled. I didn't just say that. I said that at the beginning. I got eviscerated. Guess who said it a few weeks ago? Derek Carr. So all of a sudden it's okay to say it now because Derek Carr said it? Come on. I mean, people look at Daniel Jones and say EPA. Nobody knew what the fuck EPA was until Daniel Jones scored high in it. Okay, I get it. People want to talk about he has W's. Yeah, Deshaun Watson threw for 4,800 yards and 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and they're like, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that guy is good. People are telling me that, oh, well, he only won 4 wins. Well, his whole team was trash, and he elevated everything on that team to be at least competent. But then we have the Daniel Jones argument, the enigma that is him, and people want to sit here and tell me this guy is better than he is.
I think it's about fit. Like I said, I think if you put Daniel Jones on the Minnesota Vikings, he can do what Kirk Cousins is doing. I think if you put Daniel Jones on, I don't know, the Titans, he can do what Ryan Tannehill is doing. I think if you put Daniel Jones on Kansas City, it's a totally different ball game. I think it's about fit.
I think you put Jalen Hurts in here and get the same production.
It's about how the offenses cater toward a particular quarterback. You know what I'm saying? That's what Jason Garrett wanted to build. He wanted to build that type of offense that he thought Daniel Jones could succeed in. But the difference is he didn't have the horses. Now, the same thing is going on with Brian Dable, but Brian Dable and them, they want to run a different type of offense. They don't want to run that old school shit, but they know that's the only way they can win games, and these cats ain't trying to get fired. So they know that that's how they got to play football.
But if I'm Brian Dable,
I don't think it's Daniel Jones' skill set. I don't think it's him necessarily. I think it's just a bad fit. And he's honestly for him, he's ran out of time. He's ran out of time. Yeah,
I look at it like this, right? I'll just use a name, right? And I'll use the name that I like in the draft. I like Anthony Richardson, right? If Brian Dable sits down with Joe Schoen and says, looks at him and says, okay, coming out, he's a better prospect than Daniel. In 4 years, do you think he's going to be on Daniel's level, or do you think he'll be better than Daniel? If the answer is he's going to be better than Daniel with my tutelage, then you draft the guy. Daniel Jones is, listen, if every one of you guys is telling me, oh, well, I'm not going to give him more than a 2 or 3 year deal, then he's not obviously an elite guy. I've heard people say, I want to give this guy a contract and then, have an out clause. Like, so what are you so afraid of? If this guy is so good, what are you so afraid of? That's my point. And, I can put guys in different offenses and know they can still exceed. What Daniel Jones is doing is not rocket science here. It's not like we haven't seen it. It's not like I can't get that every week. I get that every week. Brock Purdy's doing it right now. Okay, so don't tell me that it can't be done.
Daniel Jones in San Francisco, he'll be doing the same thing. That's
but we don't have time to build a team like that for Daniel Jones
thing. Look,
that's my point too.
Put this thing to bed real quick, because look, I'm not going to sit here and even pretend and think that Brock Purdy's better than Daniel Jones. He's in a better situation right now. He's in a better situation right now. And for one thing, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. He has nothing to lose. He goes out there, nobody cares what he does. Nobody expects him to be good, so it doesn't matter. So he can just go out there and just fling it all over the yard, whatever, it doesn't matter. But with Daniel Jones, is he's been in here in New York 4 years. He's been on this is his 4th year. He's been on 3 very, very bad teams. This is not a great team this year either. It's just the best one he's been on so far. It's in this guy's head. It's his mental, man. It's his mental.
Right. So if you can't, so there's another thing.
It's screwed up in the head. It's not going to. Sometimes some guys just can't come back from that. He's used to knowing that this offensive line is not going to hold up for him. So it's kind of. Might make him rush passes that he doesn't have to rush and throw errant throws that he doesn't have to make. Because it's in his mind. He just thinks he doesn't have that confidence. He doesn't have that confidence to know that the guys in front of him are going to do their job. He can't have that much faith in his receivers on the outside for obvious reasons. So it's just like he's got a lot. It's just a lot of bad around him here, and he can't seem to get out of his own head. Even though this team is probably the best team he's played on as a professional.
I don't think bringing in a receiver or anything is going to change that next year. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I believe in my heart of hearts. Now, I watch the game, and I see Tyrod Taylor come in and throw passes all over the yard with no hesitation. And I'm like, well, what is the difference between him and Daniel? Why is he getting the reins just opened up, and Daniel's being like, hey, we got to do this. Hey, we got to do that. Hey, we got to do this. Why is it more mechanical when Daniel's in the game, right? And it's not a thing that it's just an observation that I make. It's something I know in my heart that I'm not impressed with what's going on, because Justin Fields is doing the same thing in Chicago. He's doing the same exact thing in Chicago. Okay, he's running all over the yard. He's throwing just enough to get by. He doesn't have any weapons either. His offensive line is terrible. But is he not playing well for that team? He is. He's the only bright spot in Chicago. So you're telling me now that Brian Dable couldn't extract that from Justin Fields, and we'd be in the same predicament? Come on. If you can tell me, if you can unequivocally say no to that, then I'll give it to you. But if you can't, which I do believe most of you in your heart of hearts know that I'm right about what I'm saying, then you know that there could be a replaceable guy. Now, I also believe the mental aspect has gotten him, and I just think sometimes it's time to move on from somebody, not just keep him for a couple years. Now, the reason you keep a Bridger, and this is the reason why, is if this team was the opposite record right now, we wouldn't even be having this discussion, okay? If this team was what are we 5-7 or whatever? It was 7-5 right now. 8-5.
8-5-1, bro.
Right? If we were 5-8-1, we'd be lining up right now with quarterbacks coming in here.
But Adam, that's the whole dilemma though, because in the sense we're playing with house money, what I said earlier, and we're in a better position.
But you guys act like you can't draft another guy over Daniel.
I've never said that. What I will say is, if I'm going to draft a quarterback, I am going to draft him in probably late 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. That was fine. I mean, Hurst came out in the 2nd round too. I mean, I don't have an issue with that.
Right, but I don't care if they spend the money on Anthony Richardson because I know the talent is oozing off that guy's body. Now, what I look at it is like what NYG says. Let me get this clay, this tapped clay, and mold it. Daniel Jones has his flaws, and I think a lot of the things can't be corrected right now. Just who human nature, who he is. Okay, there's a reason why. Like I told you, I read a couple of these reviews. In one of the reviews against the Washington, they said don't trust the quarterback. The guy said they don't trust him. In this game, big spots we're not trusting. Like there are things that you can tell when a coach just loves a guy, and then like look at the Jets. The Jets say prime example of how they don't trust their quarterback doing anything. They didn't even call a timeout. This guy got him out of a 4th and 18, and then they bogged down because they didn't call timeouts and ran horrible play calling, right? It just happens. And sometimes you just got to look at it and rip the Band-Aid off. For me, you got to let these guys choose the guys they want, not inherit somebody that they want, and then we beg and plead and hope, like, oh, please keep the man, please. We were winning football games now, so let's win the football game.
I think you and I, in a sense, are seeing eye to eye. Is just a different approach per se.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, it's like you're talking about Daniel Jones. You're talking about Daniel Jones. What I'm saying with Daniel Jones is, right now, if you're going to draft a quarterback later in the draft, okay, fine, no problem. You still want him because he's here. He's been in the system. You could still do certain things around with him to build for your future. And then if next year it ain't working, you still have your quarterback for your future because you done drafted him. I've always said that.
That's what I'm thinking, and I'm looking at it like sometimes you want that 5th-year option, right? I don't know if Anthony Richardson you're going to get in the 2nd round. So to me, if that's the guy, because trust me, they're interested in this kid. He was at the Eagle game last week.
If you draft a rookie, and I get that, and I get the 5th round, I'm sorry. That means you're blowing it all up. Sorry.
Listen,
we don't have the talent. No,
it's a rebuild. So it was supposed to be blown up just because. Look what the Buffalo Bills did. They went to the fucking playoffs and then traded their entire draft to go get Josh Allen and still made it. So don't tell me like, oh, we're gonna blow it. Yeah, okay, you got to take a risk sometimes. If that's the guy they want, you do that.
What I'm saying is, if that's the case, that to me is you really are blowing it up.
That's what you're supposed to do. It's a rebuild. That's the whole point.
And this year changed in a sense that
it doesn't change anything because look what they did in Buffalo. I just told you they went to the playoffs in Buffalo and still went up and got their quarterback the next year. So they don't care if they make the playoffs because they're playing with house money. If they like Anthony Richardson and he's there in striking distance and they can get a trade, they're going to get the guy. And Daniel Jones can still stay.
Here's one problem. Here's one problem I got though. There's still so many holes in this roster, man.
Yes.
So many holes in this roster.
But this wasn't going to be an overnight rebuild, though.
We take a quarterback and we take the quarterback high, 1st round, whatever. Use a 1st round pick on a quarterback, and then we're everything else that this team still needs. We're just going to lead at the lower draft picks, even if there's that.
No, but. You're not going to fix it in one. You're not going to fix this team in one draft. Do you think 11 rookies are going to come in here and just change the motherfucking thing? We can't even get 11 rookies on the field right now. You guys want to tell me that you're going to bring in 11 rookies to come in here and change the narrative? No. How many receivers drafted outside the top 10 are doing excellent outside of Chris Olave? Not many. That's like one I've named. I don't know any other. You know what I mean? Garrett Wilson was drafted in the top 10. Okay, Jalen Waddle drafted in the top 10. Devontae Smith drafted in the top 10. You know what I mean? These guys, you can get guys in the 2nd round. There's fucking Josh Palmer's doing well over in San Diego. I mean, you can get
New
guys.
Orleans is playing really well. Rashid Shaheed. I don't know if you
heard
about him.
You can get receivers. You can get a number 1 receiver. I already have been talking about 2 that you can get later in the draft. So yes,
exactly.
I understand that. But the point being is, and I just said it earlier, I'm not even looking at next year. I'm looking at you even said it, 24. So that
so you bring in your guy now.
3 draft picks. That gets you 3 draft picks. But now, if you're doing that, you really do, because that means you're not bringing it back. Forget about Barkley. I'm sorry. You're not bringing him back. Forget Daniel Jones. You're going to get rid of quite a few. We already know.
You probably are going to do that. I hate to burst your bubble, but that's how the. See,
I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly.
I think the thing is this: what you're missing out is that what you're telling me right now about the blowing up is exactly what the Buffalo Bills did, and they had no problem with it. They had no problem saying we went to the playoffs. We got ousted in the first round by the Jaguars, and we still went up and made our move to get our quarterback. And they played that
I
kid,
think
and they brought
Buffalo
it.
also had more talent at that point in time than we have right now.
That's
Okay,
kind
so
of where I'm at with it right there.
we're about to go to the
It's not
playoffs.
necessarily the same scenario.
Yeah,
So
but
what I'm saying is you guys act like next year it's not going to get harder for this whole team.
I never said it wasn't going to get harder.
So-
I think the Giants got talent. I mean, we can't act like this team don't have
Right.
no
So-
talent. You know what I'm saying? It's just
I mean,
But
we're
his
just
argument
lacking
is
depth in the key areas.
his argument
argument-
is what they did in Buffalo. We can do the same thing.
yes, you can. Yeah, but yes, you can.
I'm saying in terms of the talent, because we have more holes than Buffalo did at that point in time to go get Josh Allen.
Yeah, but they can still get a guy in the second round. It doesn't mean they're not going to draft a quarterback because we have. Look, what the bottom line is, Daniel Jones is not stopping me from drafting a quarterback. Period. That's the end. That's what it is.
Well,
You're talking about Anthony Richardson. I'm sorry, Anthony Richardson is a top 10 quarterback. To get him, you're going to have to give up.
Well, not from what I'm hearing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And
I've been hearing Will Levis, and
the Stroud, the Young, all those guys, they're going to be there. Trust me, there's going to be plenty of guys in here who can run this offense and get you going. I think what people are too worried about is right now is we're playing with house money. I don't want to build it a full rebuild.
No.
Like
quarterbacks like Richardson slide. You look at Malik Willis.
Right.
You look at
They slide. He will slide.
Look at Lamar Jackson.
You're saying to me he's late.
Slide.
If he's late, I see, and the whole thing is going to come down to number one, his pro days and his personal workouts, and what is the perception around the league. We all see that talent there. But we see that talent.
Yes, but will they take the risk? Because he has a big bust ratio as well, right?
Yeah.
Because if he fails, you know, well, what quarter? Let me ask you this: he's not a finished product. He's most likely, from all accounts, is going to have to sit on the bench at least a year to get all his faculties about it, right?
Do you consider him?
That's
to
what
be
people
on
don't
par
want to
with
stomach.
Justin? Do you consider him to be on par with Justin Fields in terms of his potential and his talent?
Well, what are you asking me? Are you asking me?
Anthony Richardson.
I think Anthony Richardson could be Josh Allen. That's how much talent he has. Whether or not Josh Allen is more refined in the passing area of the game, so it was easier to start him.
Let me rephrase my question. My question to you. I'm sorry. Anthony Richardson coming out next year. Is he on the same?
Would I trade up to 11 to get him?
Yes.
Yes, I would.
Okay, so if you're in the mid-20s, you're going to trade up to 11. And to do that, what are you going to give up?
They didn't give up that much to get him. They swapped first-round picks. That's all they did. And then gave up a first next year. I mean, it's not like we gave up. Not like they gave up the farm. It's not like when we got Eli Manning, we had to trade everything, and we had no draft the following year. You can make it happen. I mean, they have extra draft picks. I mean, this is the modern NFL right now.
Yes, I understand. It's the modern NFL.
I mean, we can make moves now.
Right now, potentially, where do you think?
Look at Lamar Jackson. They traded back up into the last part of the round to get him in the first round.
Lamar Jackson was destined to be in the end of the first round into the second round. I'm saying Anthony Richardson, is he his draft potential on par to be where Justin Fields was drafted at number 10 to
no, because Justin Fields was a better overall player than him coming out.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson.
You answer my question.
Anthony Richardson has less talent coming out than Justin Fields. He is more of a raw project that it's like he's
going to be looked at like Malik Willis, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar.
A little bit more talented than them, right?
Yeah, I think that's how he's going to be looked at.
Late first, early second is where they're going now. Now he'll blow up the combine. Obviously, that's what he's going to do. Whether or not you are going to risk a boom or bust prospect. That's what he is, because he hasn't started, right? Are you going to come in here? Like, for me, that's why I think Dable and Shane are doing it, because they know they have a leash to play with, so they can go up and get their quarterback.
Check it out. Let me ask y'all a question real quick. Can Anthony Richardson, even as raw as he is, run the offense that the Giants are running right now?
I believe so.
There's your answer.
And that's what I'm saying.
Y'all can you answer that? If anybody can answer that, That's all you need
I
to know,
still think
because if he can do what
needs work to do to run it effectively and efficiently. He needs at least a year to sit
this offense that the Giants are running right now,
right now.
would we okay, all right. So you think differently. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I'm looking at
I
it like this.
don't know personally. That's why I'm asking y'all. Y'all
But that's
speak.
why I'm looking at the offense, and here's my reasoning. Let me break down why, because I mean it's easy to say yes, but no one has a back thing. But since I'm on YouTube and I got to prove everything to everybody of where I'm coming from, let me give you a little breakdown of what my thought process is. My thought process is they're already coddling Daniel Jones, obviously, for whatever reason. I don't know why. They don't trust him. They don't like him. Your guess is as good as mine. But clearly the offense is not opened up. Right, I think the same shit you're doing, asking him to do one or two reads and throw the ball, can be done with Anthony Richardson. He's also a better runner naturally than Daniel Jones. So your RPO game already goes up a notch because now people are going to know that he's a threat to run the football. Right, you know what I'm saying? He's more dynamic of an athlete and more dynamic of a thrower and has a bigger arm. So the things that you're asking Daniel to do in this offense are not things that are overly hard to be done by anybody else. And Brian Daboll, from what I've seen and from what I'm seeing, is a smart guy and can take anybody, and even he said it, and play to their strengths. So I don't think he's just going to let Anthony Richardson go out there and be a complete clusterfuck. I think he'll be like, all right, what plays can we get? What does he do well? And work off of that. Exactly what he's doing with Daniel Jones right now. If you think this offense is running efficiently, great. They're not go back and rewatch and go watch some of what the scouts are saying. They're not doing anything spectacular to do anything else. And yes, it is personnel wise, but it's also because mentally their quarterback can't process everything that he's doing.
I got a question for you guys. Mm-hmm. Now, and it relates to Daniel Jones in a way, with the other guy that's a big player on this team. Do you think they could find a running back that could come into the system and fit what Saquon Barkley's doing, and they don't feel like paying him 18, 19, 20 million, which you might get on the open market? Exactly.
He's harder to find that talent to replace. Now, I think that they like running backs and they can utilize a running back in the system, but he won't have the talent, because that's the problem that you're looking at right now. Barkley is an enormous talent. Do I think they can replace him with a committee? Yes, I do. But do I think they will? Probably. I think they're probably going to look at him like, oh, he got 1,000 yards, but you don't really do much in the pass game, right? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, how many catches does he have? There's a reason why they're not throwing him the football. It's not because he
drops a lot of passes. And I noticed that too, man, when I did my Slayton breakdown, man. I was looking at the drop passes, and I'm
he drops a ton.
He drops a ton of passes.
You know what the scary thing is?
Barkley?
He actually has he drops a ton of passes.
Yeah, he does, because I don't think he's built like that.
Yeah.
No.
Body mechanics.
That's why I don't think nobody knows how to use him. Yeah, they don't know how to, because he's not a scat back. He's not a power runner. He's just
Ask this question. How many times has he caught the ball over his shoulder? That's what you need to know. Once I've seen in his career where they ran him on a slant route, and guess who? Pat Shurmur's offense. Okay, Pat Shurmur's offense against, guess who? The Redskins. They decided to run a wheel route against a linebacker, and that was the only time I've ever seen him really go downfield. Everything else.
OBJ passed to him down the field where he caught the pass over his head against the Panthers.
Yes, that's two. That we've named two in a matter of how many times he's been on the field. Right?
The New Orleans Saints game last year where he caught that wheel route.
Yeah,
he caught that wheel route.
But there should be more. There should be more of those, and there's a reason why they're not. Alvin Kamara gets a lot of touches. He gets 20 touches. He'll get 10 passes, and he'll get 10 runs. Now, he's a different runner. They don't give him the mail. That's the problem. The thing is, right now, I feel the Giants don't have an identity on offense. They don't know whether to be a run-heavy team or a pass-heavy team.
I think they do, but they don't like their identity. They don't like who they are. When they look
want
in
to
the
pass
mirror,
the football.
Yeah, they don't like who they are. They think they too fat. They they don't have enough makeup. Whatever it is, they don't like who they are. That's what it is. What I'm saying? They have an identity.
That's great. That's a great analogy. I mean,
that's a good analogy.
You got to think of it like this, though. Like when you watch these games, all right, across the league. Now we all are NFL fans. I know because Jeff does play-by-play. Mac has a fantasy team that gets blown up every week.
Both of my fan teams are in the playoffs, so one of them has a first round bye. Okay?
How'd you do this week, Mac? How'd the team pull out this week for you?
The game I had to play this week, I won. I already won that game, so I'm going to
Well,
second
that-
round of the playoffs. And my other team is had a first round bye this week.
That's
I
just
was
funny
second
because
place in the league. So
we come in every week, and Max like,
this.
this guy blew up my fantasy team. This
Well,
guy
they
blew up my
do.
fantasy team. You know,
I want more. I want it all. You know, I want it all.
But I guess what I'm saying, and we got off track here, is just I don't even remember what we were saying. We were laughing so much, but I don't know, man.
Barkley? It was Barkley.
Oh, the offense. You got to ask yourself this question: why does it across the league? The offense, like the Texans are throwing the ball all over the yard yesterday. Yet we can't find a way to fucking score points. Give me a. I can't even name it. I can't even name a Texans receiver. Give me a break. You know what I'm saying? Like
And they
Brandon
lost their
Cooks.
rookie for the season. Pierce is out for the season
Right,
too.
and they're scoring points. If it wasn't for Davis Mills being a fucking bum, you know, maybe they would. Maybe the game turns out differently. But my God,
that comes down to what we were talking about way earlier on here. You got to take shots sometimes. You just got to sometimes.
right. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. They have guys running there who should be janitors out there. And you know what? They're like, you know what? Let me go out and throw the ball and see what happens. And then you occasionally get a defensive PI, right? Get a PI called. Like, how come we had more defensive PIs called for the Redskins than we did us? We didn't get one. We don't get one again. How many do we get a game? Like all season, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have not seen one defensive pass interference for us that have gone our way.
Slayton got one.
We've got
One.
a couple.
Yeah.
But like,
I get what Adam's saying. I get what Adam's saying.
Or you can be like Jason
But
Bedoff
Adam-
and get mossed down the field.
yes, sir.
It's also a matter of the referees. We all know that.
No.
They know
I
what's going on. And it's just their perception. That's
But
really
no,
what it boils down.
But the point is they don't throw enough to get those calls in front, right? So it's like foul calls. You can only hide so much. When somebody gets blatantly ran over, you got to make that call. Well,
What up, Big Simple?
like unlike today, I don't think the NFL really likes the Commanders. That's why they didn't get that call in the end zone. If you really want to be honest if you really want to, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy theory,
I'm gonna hold
but
you there, though. I'm gonna hold you there, man, because the Giants been getting holes all season. So you know what I'm saying? It's
no, but I mean, like, you don't care if the Giants make the playoffs, but the dance.
It's payback, man. That's what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? The refs knew they blew so many calls against the Giants, man. We're gonna get one of these calls eventually.
Well,
I've just been
I thought they were going to give it back for that egregious illegal formation penalty. I'm like, Terry McLaurin walks over and asks the referee, "Am I on the line?" I mean, I did that in high school. We used to do that in high school all the time. Coach used to say, "Hey, listen. If you go to the line, ask the ref, and he'll point you in the direction of where you need to be." So he goes up there, and he literally does what the coach tells you to do. Point out to the ref, say, "I'm eligible on the field." Now, he's supposed to then tell you, move back, right? And if you don't move back because you're dumb, because you're not listening to the ref, you get the flag called on you. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing that happened with the Ravens. They got a legal procedure penalty when the guy now that was a little bit more egregious because you're dealing with guys on the line of scrimmage on like the offensive line side. This guy, his job every time is run out there. I used to run out there as a receiver and ask the guy, even though I knew I was on the line, I used to ask, "Am I good? Am I good?" And he used to tell me. And they was like, "Move up, move back." You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want you to be off sides, but they'll know that to help you, right? So he did that, and even the ref was like, that probably shouldn't have been called in this point. So I get it. So I thought they were going to make that call up for Darnay Holmes when you watch the screenshot, he was hugging that man, and thankfully he got away with it. Otherwise we're probably talking about another 2020 tie at this point. But the thing is, let me close with this. I am critical of this team because I have high standards for what I want to see. So, yes, it may come out that I'm negative in a win, but I'm the same guy in a win and a loss. I've been the same guy from Jump Street. You know what I mean? I'm not too high in a win and not too low in a loss. But I see other teams around the league, and I'm like, that I have expectation levels, right? I don't just say, "Oh, well, great, I'm happy with average." No, nobody wants the average car. They want the one with all the fucking shit in it. You know what I mean? They want the fucking the videos and the screens and the fucking drop top. They don't want, "Oh yeah, I want a modest car." No, you do that because that's what you can afford right now, right? If you can, or if you don't have a car, right? Maybe you take public transportation. You do that. Well, you always want more. So me, I want more. Like, I know we can get more out of another quarterback who's not mentally fucked up already. Daniel Jones has gotten sacked most of the NFL already. In the NFL, all right, this offensive line is fixed. He's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL last year. Last year with the worst offensive line, he was sacked less. How to explain that to me? I have no idea. So my point is I get a guy who can run better than him, who can do things better than him, that I can mold from Jump Street. I'm going to make that choice, and I'm going to make it how I make it. Right, Barkley the same way. I don't know if they're going to bring Barkley back. I think you can use him, but what has he done? Once he gets stifled, there's not much else he does. There's not like he can take the game over by passing. Right, Marshall Faulk, you could throw him out of the backfield if he were stopping the run, and he would still get you 90 yards. You know what I'm saying? He would still find a way to score touchdowns. So for me, what is Barkley? Is he a Marshall Faulk type of back? Is he not? So it's going to be fun, and I don't think winning in the playoffs and getting our butts kicked by the 49ers is going to stop Joe Shane from saying, hey, I'm going to need to make upgrades on this team regardless. You know, if I like a guy, because everyone's like, well, why don't you pick a quarterback next year? Well, guess what? You're going to have to bring assets now or later. It's either you go get your guy now.
Yeah,
I actually agree with Adam on that one. I don't think it doesn't matter if we make.
You're gonna have to do it eventually. You're gonna have to pull the trigger on the quarterback eventually. So I mean, I was one of the ones that I got destroyed for because I wanted Malik Willis. You know what I'm saying? I feel.
You thought a third round would have been great value.
Right. I kind of feel the same way this year. If you can get good value on a quarterback, man, pull the trigger. I mean, because you got to upgrade your team at all positions. You can't look
exactly.
At and say,
hello, backup quarterback's a position.
You can't
backup quarterback's a position.
Exactly. You can't be complacent when it comes to any of these positions. If you have a chance to go out there and upgrade, even if you make the playoffs, you can't just be like, oh, well, we made the playoffs. Everything's okay. We'll just come back with all the same players, the main ones that made it to the playoffs. No, you got to – if there's a chance to upgrade no matter what the position is, running
unless you got an Allen Mahomes or a guy like that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the Green Bay Packers drafted a quarterback, Jordan Love, and they still had Aaron Rodgers under contract. The guy still was playing at a high level.
Right.
The Kansas City Chiefs, they were making the playoffs with what do you call it?
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith, yeah, and they still went out there and drafted.
They went up. They were in the playoffs. They moved up to 12 to go get fucking.
You got 49ers with Jimmy G. So
right.
They made the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
And so my point is, if you don't believe in the guy or you want to bring in your own guy, Daniel Jones has not proven to me that he's like a franchise guy, right? Everyone keeps saying, we'll bring him as a bridge quarterback. Even executives across the league, who many of these beat reporters are talking to, say they're doing the same thing. So my point is, you rip the Band-Aid off now, or you can wait till 2024, which if we believe this team is going to be good next year, or at least fighting for a playoff spot, you're going to be doing the same thing.
The mantra is going into this offseason, I've mentioned it before, don't get too attached to all these players because this type of regime did not bring in all these players. If they're going to go out there and they're going to make the necessary moves that are going to help this team for the present and the future. So if that includes sacrificing a Daniel Jones or a Saquon Barkley or any of these guys we like, you have to deal with it. You have to think about the long-term future of this team and not just 1 or 2 years of success. What you want is an organization that we have not had in a very long exactly sustained success. And that's why I'm a little worried giving a lot of money to a running back and a quarterback that it might be like, we love them, we like some of the things that they're doing, but at the same time, is it the smart investment to do going into the future when you have so many other holes on this team that you still have to fill?
You brought up the financial aspect. That's also an aspect of why I say it, right? You guys want other players on this team to fill. Well, we can't pay anybody if we're paying the quarterback and the running back money. But if we get a fifth-year option guy, a guy who's a backup, you know what? Tyrod Taylor is here. You may not like him, but hey, they brought him in for a reason. And if they say, you know what, we're going to roll with him and the rookie for now, and we're going to roll the dice, and we're going to bring in some defensive players here to kind of make it better, then that's great. Right. So the thing is, my vision is just to get better. Everyone's still worried about, we haven't won in 6 years. So why would you want to break it up? Listen to what the GM said. He don't care about record. He don't care about anything else. He got a process on how to build a team. And I'm looking at the model to which they came from. Both organizations that we're talking about, that most of these guys have been around, Kafka's, even Brandon Brown, the GM, guess what they did? They drafted Jalen Hurst while they had Carson Wentz still on the roster. Yeah. I mean, it's not like out of the realm of possibility. Go ahead.
Okay, look, because you used that example a couple of times. I got a whole opinion about that whole thing, though. With Jalen Hurts, I think that was more, it just happened to work out. The perfect for him. I don't think they picked Jalen Hurts necessarily to be Carson Wentz's successor. I think they brought Jalen Hurts in there for I think they brought Jalen Hurts in there for a different reason, and it just worked out the way it worked out.
Well, they drafted
I
him,
think-
and they weren't 100% on Carson Wentz, right? So apparently, from what I've heard from Eagle fans, is Jeffrey Lurie did not want to get rid of Carson Wentz, and Harry Roseman wanted to. One of the two didn't want to get rid of him. So they drafted him to compromise, saying, well, we'll give you a quarterback in a second round, because guess what? If he's a second round pick, you can move on from him if he sucks. So they put him in after the team was tanked, and he had a 300-yard game. They're like, oh, okay. So then what do? The next year, they thought they were going to suck. They started the kid, and they brought in a whole new coach. Remember, he wasn't drafted by that regime, right? They went in, and Nick Sirianni said, all right, I'm going to come in here and see what I got. He decided to change up the offense mid-season and play to this guy's strengths. He came back, and boom, now Nick Sirianni, who's a quarterback whisperer, as is Doug Peterson, because look what he's doing down in Jacksonville, they lucked out. But it wouldn't have been there. My point is the philosophy was there to draft a guy even though they had an incumbent starter. You know what I mean? They didn't do that in Indianapolis when they had Andrew Luck. Otherwise, they would have had a quarterback right now. But they didn't, because they said, we got fucking Andrew Luck. They're not going to do that in L.A. because they got Justin Herbert. Now, they may bring in a guy in case somebody gets injured, because everybody's running this RPO shit and someone's bound to get injured. I mean, look at Kyler Murray. You don't think the Cardinals would like a competent backup quarterback that can do more than Colt McCoy? I mean, come on. So for me, again, with this, and the rookie wage scale has made it possible for you to do this. That's another reason. The rookie wage scale doesn't allow you to be strapped with like Sam Bradford. Those days are gone. You don't need to be with a guy because I have to be with him 5 years because I'm paying him $100 million right out the gate. No, you're playing him this much.
Arizona did with Rosen and Kyler Murray.
Thank you, NYG. Thank you. They got a guy in there, and they said, "Fuck it."
But Rosen really sucked. Like that.
I agree. I agree with you there.
I
but he
can't
had.
believe I wanted the Giants to actually draft.
If you looked at his numbers, he fit with every other quarterback did with numbers wise, but he sucked. But my point is that because of the rookie wage scale, they weren't trapped to Rosen. They said, "Fuck it, we'll get rid of your ass, and we'll bring in another guy." And that's what they did. They weren't strapped to him. They weren't in love with him, and they did it. Right now, they're stuck with Kyler Murray because they paid him $100 million. So, regardless of what happens now, they're stuck with that guy.
Pretty much the middle of the next season.
Everybody, look! It's almost 2:00 in the morning.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize
I love listening to all this. We talking it up, but I do got to go to work in literally a few hours.
That's gonna be a rough one.
Sorry about that, Mac.
It's all good. Thank you, Mac.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, I know.
Sorry, Coach. I don't mean to sound so mean.
No, bro, stop it.
But everybody
stop
go around. If you want to
bro.
get last thoughts out real quick, but we're gonna have to go ahead and wrap this one up.
No, I'm just sitting here scouting already.
Thank you, Alex.
You know I'm scouting, so
yeah.
Y'all go ahead. Y'all got it.
Matt, Coach, one day I'd like to sit with you and see what you see. Maybe I can get some knowledge that maybe I don't know. Maybe something I'm missing that we don't see. You
and I can always chop it up. We can help each other. You may show me something that I may not be looking. I mean, I may have been coaching 40-something years, but I don't know everything, and I'm open to always seeing something different from somebody else's perspective. So you and I'll talk later.
Thank you so much.
One thing I want to say real quick before we get out, real quick, is like I think this offense is a little different in general. With Brian Dable, Kafka coming here, they both came from places where they were just throwing the ball all over the place. Here they got an actual running back that can actually get things done on the ground, where they didn't really necessarily have that in Buffalo. He didn't have that in Kansas City necessarily, Kafka. So I think everything is new to everybody. So this offseason is going to be interesting for this team to see what kind of direction this regime is trying to go with and what they're trying to build around. I mean, myself personally, I'm not saying I'm throwing a whole bunch of money at Barkley, but at the same time, I'm going to make a strong effort to keep him here. I just feel like he's a weapon that this offense could use going forward, part of this rebuild process, and he's just a good leader in general, man. And he does. I believe he does have the confidence in his ability, which I think is one thing Daniel Jones is lacking right now. That's my biggest thing with Daniel Jones. I think it's more in Daniel Jones' mental in his head than anything else because he clearly has the physical tools. He has the physical tools. It's just more. I think he can't get out of his own head, and that's just going to always be a problem here. I think Saquon Barkley is more the piece you need to probably look forward to building this offense around, and as you get your quarterback in place, whoever that may be, whether it's like you said somebody you draft this year in the upcoming draft, whoever it is. But I think we need to. I think this team would benefit in keeping Saquon Barkley around because it can only help an offense be that much more explosive, especially if you get the other weapons necessary to make that happen, man. So that's just my piece on that.
Well, I mean, well, I hope you're right, Mac. But money talks, bullshit walks, right? So, you gotta. Who knows? We talk about these guys signing here. Who knows if another team doesn't come in and swoop in, right, and offer them more money? Everyone's like, hey, we want to be loyal, but loyalty is only goes so far, right? So I know that we are kind of building something here, but I also believe that this year was a throwaway year, and I think Mara knows that because Shane probably said, listen, I don't got none of my guys in here. I'm rolling with a depleted roster. You're going to have to give me some time, and I really do believe these guys got at least 3 or 4 years to build their program, and I do believe in probably year 2024 we're going to be more of a team closer to keeping up with an Eagles team, so they won't blow the doors off of us when we play them, or a Cowboy team. And I feel like I trust those two guys. The only two guys that I believe are going to be here next year are Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. So I'll start with there, and I'll go with that, and I trust what they're going to do.
We shall see, man. But, it's been a good show, everybody that was in the chat. Appreciate y'all coming through on this late night edition. Appreciate the whole panel. Up to all these great guys right here, man. NYG, Jeffy T, Coach Ed, Amazing World of Sports, Unpopular Opinion Sports, Adam Costas, my guy. You can definitely join me and Adam on Wednesday night for another edition of The Real Deal. NFC East Roundup. And it's your boy Mac the Giants fan, man. Peace. Oh, shit, hit the wrong damn thing.
I'm like, where's the outro?
I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MACDA Giants fan.